intro has been, even before I could start Hyderabad.ai 2 years back in 2023, I left a lucrative role of as CBO, Chief Business Officer, a company which I had built from a mere 15-member organization to a 250-member organization in around 3 years. It was a hard decision, but I decided to get out of the corporate world and start an AI company. And that's how Hyderabad.ai started in 2023. With no understanding of AI, I had to do a lot of unlearning, then relearning, again unlearning, because AI has been changing, the levels have been changing, and there have been too many modifications which were happening through. It was important that whatever was also built had to be cut down. So that's how my journey has been in the last 2 years. As such, at Hyderabad.ai, our core differentiator lies at the powerful intersection of two different NLPs, which I talk about. One, I as a NLP master practitioner, I have always looked deeply at the intersection of technology and human behavior. And that's exactly the conglomerate which I wanted to bring in the product. And right now, our industry is at a profound inflection point. Traditional recruitment is clinging to legacy systems. Much like Bhishma on his bed of arrows, bound by old oaths to outdated processes like pedigree-based hiring and manual resume parsing. And that's the transformation which we wanted to bring in the hiring front. At a core, we are a product development company focused entirely on building AI-native, AI-first HR products because talent acquisition is the largest, most critical dependency for growing enterprises. Our current flagship product focuses squarely on reimagining the recruitment process. We are moving beyond basic automation to build AI-first hiring diagnostic layer. So we are creating a true decision intelligence layer that allows recruiters to seamlessly team up with AI, uncover hidden talent, and make highly accurate decisions at scale. As I remember, back in 2015, 10 years back, revolution was simple about where we reached candidates. Okay. Today, the revolution is about how we understand human capability. That's the transformation which is happening today. To navigate the future of work, we cannot cling to the past. We need to embody a mindset of necessary disruption. I call it the Kalki archetype, clearing away the obsolete to build a resilient, skill-first economy. Okay. That's the thought under which we are proceeding further today. Before the panels are introduced, I would like to request each one of you to take maybe 30 seconds, just talk about your full name, the company you represent, and the role, what you do. I want to set the agenda for the afternoon. We are not here to debate futuristic theories. At least that's the expectation set for everyone. I've already told them during the lunchtime. We are here to define the actionable blueprint for the future of work. What exactly is being done in your organization, what others can take from your experiences and make it more realistic in their organization. So the 3 pillars would be on the skill-first shift, verifying capability over paper pedigree, human AI collaboration, moving from automation anxiety to decision intelligence, and third, of course, is on sustainability-led outcomes. Predicting internal mobility for career resilience. I will also have last 10 minutes kept for audience questions, and I also request audience to keep your questions related to these 3 pillars which we have defined. And to make it a little more interesting, we will also have a quiz kind which will keep running on the screen. You all can take part. Please lift your phone, scan that QR code. You'll start getting into a screen by screen of you giving feedback or you giving your experience of what's happening in your organization. So let me know once everybody have taken the scan. And for those who could not take a photograph and scan it, please help your neighbors. Please share the scan so that you can start looking into it. Okay, while you all scan, let me move on to our panel. Please have your microphone, quick 30 seconds intro for yourself in your own way, and maybe also one word of what people don't know about you, or you may want them to know about you in a different manner. Go ahead, Smita.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Smita Yadav. I'm representing Medtronic Engineering and Innovation Center. Been in the industry for 18 years now, with Medtronic for close to 2 years. And one thing that's not there in my profile, or something that I'm a passionate DEI speaker. I've been a part of many different various forums within India and outside, and talk about just like how we are meeting today in terms of telling exactly what can be done better, right? And pinpointing and taking some action surrounding and building a great culture. Thank you.
Thank you, Smita.
Amazing. Thank you, Smita. Hi, everyone. My name is Lakshmikant Atluri. I go by, or in short, as Lax. That's how most people know me as. I lead the talent acquisition for excuse me, guys. I lead the talent acquisition for a GIC called Sierra right now. I've been in talent acquisition space for the last 20 years, helping building various GICs in Bangalore and Hyderabad so far. And coming to my personal side, I've been a passionate photographer. I do biking once in a while, not as great as Chetan, being a president of Ducati Club, but I do a little bit of biking here and there. And I am a proud father of 2 young daughters. That's about me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lax. Veena?
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody had a good lunch session. So just trying to keep you awake. Yeah, so I'm Veena. I head HR with a renewable energy company called Access Energy, which is into wind and solar. So I'm completely different from all others, completely non-IT and exactly core remote jobs that our people do. And something that's not mentioned anywhere is I always hated mathematics. I think in my 10th standard, after I finished my exam, I just wrote the end. So that I thought I will never touch numbers. But unfortunately, in the HR, what is expected is number crunching, numbers. So my CEO expects always numbers, data. And that's where I think I love AI.
Fantastic.
Hey, hi, I'm Pratyush. So before I give my introduction, I will ask everybody to raise their hands. So nobody raised it. I think the lunch is still heavy. No, it was just a check that how many you are still awake. So I have almost like 26 plus years in TA, and I started with Shiv Nardas Foundation's group for HCL, worked there for a decade. And then after that, I have worked at Capgemini, Tech Mahindra, lately Deutsche Bank, and my last stint was Brilio. And it's a very typical situation because my last working day was 2 weeks back, and my joining date is another 2 weeks from now. So I'm just enjoying my break. So can't tag any designations for me right now. But yes, has been related to talent acquisition, headed global talent acquisition, region talent acquisition, and India talent acquisition. That has been there for last 12 years I'm doing so. And what people don't know. So people who are connected with me, I'm an open book. But people who are connected to me on LinkedIn, for them, I would say that I'm a musician. I play almost 19 instruments.
Wow.
And I'm a vocalist, so that's it.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Yep. I wish I knew it a little before. I would have carried my guitar for you. Well, how many of you could get the scanner on your mobile? Almost most. The last benchers have not got it, I think. Did you? Okay. Fareed? Yeah. How many? Only 25. Another 75 have not done so. So we still keep a track within our AI. So do scan. You'll enjoy the interaction. Just run the screen, Fareed. Now, while I keep asking questions for the panel here, you all can start participating. Now, first, let's get to know how's the mood of the audience today. Don't tell me, you just put it up there. Panel, you have a visibility here. So you know what to answer based on what's going to be the answer on the screen.
We should also have scanned.
Okay. Somebody had a very high, heavy lunch, I think, hence it's becoming boring. Interesting. While that's getting there, a quick question to my panel here. In less than 60 seconds, if you have to put through, I want you to be brutally honest again. And what is the single most surprising or impactful way AI has actually transformed an HR function in your organization or which you have heard of in any other organization?
So I think disruptions in skill demography. So if you look at our skill taxonomy has gone way wide. And now, in fact, if you look at what leads to, it leads to decentralization. And that is what we are trying to work on. Because typically in IT, the depth and the breadth of technologies has gone so wide that you have to have decentralization, so which is another layer of activity which every HR function is doing today.
Okay.
So, to make it more specific to the industry needs. And now skill is the currency, so you can't lose it.
I appreciate that point. But tell me one thing, Pratyush. Were you able to put up a figure saying we have done 15% transformation, 10% transformation, 2% transformation? Where do you stand today?
So, from AI standpoint, you are looking at?
Specifically.
So, I can't talk about...
if any. If it is not, then fine. That's fine.
So, if I can't about... Maybe... So, we started implementing AI from the need analysis per se, where demand calibration is happening. So here what happens is hiring manager takes a charge and the bot asks him the question what you want to hire. And in that particular basis, from our, I would say, career architecture, when he says, say for example, I give you an example that he says that I want to hire a SharePoint admin.
Okay.
AI will ask another question, what years of experience you are looking at? He says 4 to 5 years of experience. Now, AI has the hard skills, AI has the experience level, AI has an access to my career architecture. It skims to my career architecture and brings out right level and bands for that particular role. The hard skill comes from where he said SharePoint admin, right? So there is a playbook of skills which gets created. Now hiring manager has to do a drag drop, which is mandatory for them, which is must have and which is good to have kind of things. Once it is done, it further goes into the education. We see education is not primarily that we are looking forward for. We are very much skill focused organization. So pedigree is not that important for us for now. So, you know, once it is done, the entire job description is created. Now you look at this. Before hitting TA, it hits our own skill repository, skill prism that we have. In the skill prism, it analyzes how many people are the match, how many people are, by the ETA of the project, how many people are getting released from whatever assignments they are doing currently. And I have a stock of people who are readily internally available, so need of hire can be parked for a while for those particular, where the availability is 100%. Remaining percentage, the gap is what TA covers. The same flow comes to the TA.
Okay.
On that basis, so we have...
So how long has this been put to use? Is it for the last 1 year, 1.5 years?
I would say 6 months now.
6 months
now.
and
Yeah.
65%.
Yeah, so what has happened here is when we go to the talent acquisition side, we develop two things out of this AI. One is the online assessment piece, which we do for the ground level role. But at what I would say at the senior roles, we have a conversation-based AI. Wherein, yeah, so it's not bot. I am personally, as a leader, I'm not a very big fan of bot doing the interview.
Agree.
Because at the
That's
end
just
of
the level
day,
1 actually of AI.
So what I have done is, AI is co-piloting the interviewer. He keeps the interviewer within the remits of the JD, within the remits of the time frame which is defined, and that human touch is also there. So, and trust me, being in HR, I know it once. So it has to be always calibrated and collaborated. If you don't do that, the next very day, some hiring leader will come and say that your chat bot is doing not the right job. So before taking a blame, I rather sabka saath, sabka vikas. Well, strategy I rather use.
Fantastic.
So yeah, so that's how it is.
Thank you.
So now, beyond that, we have now AI is something which is inevitable. It is coming, right? So from the talent.
Let's make it a little more crisper so that I can move on to the next one.
Sorry, it's a long story.
Yes.
Then
So you need to
what
make
I
it
would
short.
say is, we have designed personas, 36 persona, but every role within the organization needs some bits of AI.
Okay.
So that identification, I would say it as an AI quotient within an individual. So IQ, EQ, and AQ.
Yeah.
That is what we are looking forward for. That work is partly implemented, not 100%, but we have almost 36 persona defined within the organization.
Fantastic. Very interesting. I'll take a different conversation with you after this program.
Yeah.
Moving a little away from AI to you, Veena, is we often wait until exit interviews to find out a top performer was ready for a midlife career reset. How can we leverage AI to map internal skill and predict when an employee is ready for an internal pivot before they look external?
So
It can be outside AI also,
yeah,
okay?
Yeah. So what we have done in our organization is we map people, or we ensure that all of them, especially the, it's a small organization that we have, so we train them on multiple things. So it's not just training, we put them into job execution into multiple things. So a person, say, example, he's only into acquisition, I would say in our renewable energy, it is land acquisition. We also train them into project execution, where you put the, install all the solar masts and other things, wind mast or windmills that you say. So like that, they are equipped with multiple roles. Second thing that we do is, we know now when there is a gap, or say internally if there is an opportunity, we know now we also update this, all this in our HRMS tool, which is AI integrated, where it gives us, say, there is a vacuum in a role, then this person is a right fit, because we know for that specific project how a person has performed. So we know immediately we have a replacement, rather than wait for a person, wait for 3 months for him to join, finally he doesn't join, we have an immediate replacement. So that's how probably, rather than just updating what is his designation, what is his years of experience, or what is his designation, what we do is, how has he performed in the project? What are the skills beyond which he has gone? What is the stretch skills that he had? How has he, what was his cross-functional collaboration? All this is pulled by our tool, which helps us know where to put him in a right channel where we need it. So that's one example.
By any chance, among all of this data, have you been looking at generation of people coming in? How is a Gen X or a Gen Y or a Gen Z, millennials falling into this category? Any of such kind of study?
So mostly it is the Gen Z that who will be interested, because they get very fast. They get bored very, very fast. They want challenge. It is not just money that interests them or salary that interests them. It is the change. They want change, quick change. So that is where when we say, you have this opportunity, we keep telling, you build your skills in this, then you go get into this. So that's where I think Gen Z is the most.
But what would that change mean to them as per your study, if any?
That change for them, it increases their engagement levels. So while most of the top performers, especially, when we have this pain, especially as a HR, it's very painful when top performers leave. Very difficult to replace them. So that's where these top performers, they just don't look for only the salary. It could be at any level, not just Gen Z. Okay, it is what differently can they do. Okay, they also learn skills very fast, not just what is happening in the organizations, even from outside they learn
I think that's where the boredom starts.
Yes.
It's
boredom
a quick
starts.
learn, okay,
Exactly.
I need something.
I know already this, but why am I not being
Next.
utilized for that? So that's where I think this is more of use.
I want to move that question from there on to you, Smita, with your 18 years of experience, being in HR all through. Have you seen such trend happening within the HR department also? And how has that been seen?
Yeah, so I have led teams within HR portfolio also, and I beg to differ on, getting bored. Because I have seen
because there also we have the same generation folks available,
yes,
right?
Yes. People come from different experiences is what I have, experienced in the teams that I have been building and working with, right? And people, when they come with different experiences, their expectations also will be different. So there's no one-size-fits-all approach kind of a thing that, okay, I am a Gen Z, so, I am getting bored. No, it all depends upon the person in question. It could be a he or a she who could, believe that, okay, I can increase the scope of my work by, contributing more. So can I go to the leaders and say that, this is my goal, but then this is more that we can do, right? Rather than just moving from one thing to another, while they can keep gaining, but they can continue doing what they are. So I think it's a mix. I mean, the population, the audience could be a mix of it. So, not stereotyping Gen Z, Gen Y or Gen X, but then it's more about your organization giving them the opportunities to work towards. If they see meaningful work, they will continue. It's not only the length, but the breadth also of the work, right, which is required for a career.
But I also keep hearing from some of the senior leaders in HR saying about today managing the new age folks who are coming in, either straight off the MBA or engineering, getting into the HR role or even recruitment role, or not that easy to give them task and make it work. Couple of reasons. One, of course, is people are made to work from home. You only get to come to office 2 days, only in some organization, not otherwise. I personally had an experience when one of the resources reached out and said, where are you? I'm at a mall now. Was there any job for me? That's the question. So until morning, any task is not assigned, they think it is easier. We also have instances where, with all due respects to every generation, Gen Z is coming back and say, I was just taking a nap in the afternoon today, 2 hours. And they've been blunt, absolutely blunt in saying so. And these are not something as a characteristics which we can assess during the interviews. Okay, that's where my next question goes to Lax. as a lead in talent acquisition, how would you review some of these characteristics of individuals coming for interview? Are your hiring managers trained to check that? Are your HR folks trained to check that? Or your TA folks trained to check that? Or you just ignore to see, I'm only looking at the skill?
Great question, Chetan. Thank you. From hiring standpoint, what we don't touch base most of them, Chetan, frankly speaking. Let me be very honest and brutal. Our focus is on hiring a right skilled person and ensuring that we have a right mix of diversity. When I said diversity, it's not predominantly focused on gender. Like I heard earlier panel talking about hiring a right human and seeing that they feel comfortable within the organization. So that's where the focus is, ensuring that person can contribute wherever they are, irrespective of the region or location or working from office. Can they contribute to the role that we're hiring for? Depending on, could be fresher, AA supervisor, or could be anything. Right now I see a lot of freshers getting hired for an AA supervisor role. They only supervise what if you're really doing well or not. So that's one thing that is evolving.
But are they competent to supervise it?
Listen, you need human wisdom for AI intelligence, right? So I think most of the companies are trying to get the human wisdom by keeping a supervisor there, then looking at are they technically competent to actually beat or do better than AI there.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. Now, panel, if you look at the screen, what I get to understand from the audience is that a top performer leaves your enterprise. The most common real reason and the highest stands at burnout and overwork. Okay, what would be your quick thoughts be? Pratyush, 30 seconds.
Yeah, it is there. So while we are struggling that...
What is that overwork or burnout happening?
There is, in new hybrid model, there is no end time for the work. And that's where the overwork is happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Veena, do you believe the same?
Burnout for them is, again, what my observation from our organization, it is more of redundancy in the work. The same job when they have to do continuously, and you give them the timelines, targets. That's where I think that burnout comes. Make a little change in the way they have to work and how you engage them. I think it's more on the reporting managers or the seniors, how they make that small change, that'll really boom up. And show them an opportunity. If you do this, then finally, this is what you're going to gain. So that really makes it. I think here AI again plays an important role because some reasons why there probably is also burnout. What I've observed in my organization is repeatable jobs, which manually when they have to repeat the same job, and that's where that burnout also comes. When you use AI there and then give them a different role, and that's where I think there's a change. There has been a paradigm shift.
Smita, your views?
I think Veena has beautifully captured it, right? I mean, introducing AI in the world where, everything is so fast, it's important that repetitive tasks can get automated. And if, that goes out, then there's a lot of important other things that employees can contribute towards, Chetan. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Fareed, keep running the next ones. Okay, I have an interesting question to the panel now. With the explosion of new platforms, the make versus buy or which tool to buy dilemma is real for every HR professional, TA or core HR. How do you think the enterprise should evaluate and integrate them with emerging tools as well as the tools which has already been invested within the organization? And of course, without disrupting the workflow, what has already been defined.
So what we have done in our organization is, I think when we wanted to look at a HRMS tool, first thing that everybody came to us were with all the features. So what we did backend is, rather than looking at the features, we first evaluated what are the problem areas. Where is it that we need? Is it the value for time? Where are we stuck in and how AI can be used. So if you know what are basically specific problem areas, and that's where it becomes very easy for us to choose which tool, whether it is to make or buy. And then integration with the other tools. Say, for example, this HRMS tool we integrated with our ERP system. So how easy is this? How flexible is this integration? That's important. And then the governance risk that is associated with it, like compliances, which is very important, at least for an organization like us. So these are probably some of the things which help us, which is easily customizable with a ready-made available tool, then we buy it. Otherwise, we have an IT team where they also develop. I think for project management, we've developed internal tools. That's where make concept comes.
Pratyush, I have a extended question on that. You coming from the organization of analytics, which have been looked into, a lot of research keeps happening within the organization at Brilio. Now today, even with my own team, where we have tried and looked at the number of AI tools specifically meant for HR automation. It could be on L&D, it could be on core HR, talent acquisition. We were able to find close to around 267 odd companies, India made, India bound, okay? And we have tried to reach out to all of this 267 to look at what they have done. Hardly 10% of them fall under the actual AI first or AI native platform, and rest all are all in the just automation, the chatbot, okay? But the claim is about being an AI organization, okay? With such vast differentiation being available in the market, how should an enterprise start looking at this product? How should they start reviewing before they start investing in them? And should they?
So first very important thing is that you need to have your own rubric. That is very important. So what I would say is, I think in the previous conversation, people talked about AI, and then they said, absolutely AI, before getting into AI, you should have an AI. What I would say is like absolute intelligence before getting into artificial intelligence. And that is where majority organization lack. Many a times this tool is taken because of business competitiveness, reputation, rather than fixing and identify their own problem statements and using AI wisely. So there has to be a plan and a flow chart, a workflow within the organization, and you should know exactly what you're trying to fix.
Who do you think should be driving it? Is it the HR, or should it come from the CXOs of the world? Because there's the budget which is required for that.
Yeah, budget has to be required. See, basically I have worked in a big organization, small organization. If you have a right reasons, nobody is stopping the budget. So the conversation has to happen in terms of what outcome that you are desiring. Now my question to most of the leaders is, it's not about the product. It is like, I bring AI into my recruitment system, my TAT will get down by 35%. My repeat is my pipeline utilization, which is already my internal ATS, the utilization of that ATS will increase by 45%. Then I am making a sense. Here, like I found, it's an intelligent tool. It has a nice LLM and NLP embedded in this. That is not a conversation that, it has to be fit to purpose. What is the purpose that you're trying to change? So when you drive an outcome-driven strategy in front of any board, any leadership, in Brilio also, in fact, I'm being blunt here, I presented my strategy to board and they said, go ahead. If it is there.
That conviction has to come.
Correct.
From who is the leader in the organization.
So I typically keep it into 3 strategies, like you have cost points, you have people, and you have time.
Outcomes.
If it is fixing this CPT model of yours, most of the time your product sales good. And AI is doing that, so it's not that it's not doing that.
Yes, it has to be put to use in the right way.
Yeah, put to use.
Thank you for that. Farid, just come a couple of slides behind. We had the one before this. Okay. If your organization fails to successfully adopt AI in HR over the next 24 months, what will be the primary cost? Somebody says CXOs half knowledge, somebody says HR half brain, and the budget. These are the 3 big ones which I see. Smita, counter the HR folks now.
None of them. I think it is more on the adoption also.
Where is it failing then?
How are leaders driving adoption, right? Like, and I'll be brutally honest, right? Like, we
They have
very
been absolutely brutally further.
No, but I'm talking about my experience also. Like, very recently we had worked, Medtronic as an organization globally, we have collaborated with MoveWorks to automate the HR and the finance functions. And in one of the different meetings, I heard one of a senior leader telling that it's not very effective. But then there are different forums to talk. If the leader themselves talk, I mean, every project that we take has certain phases, right? And it's very important that as leaders, we talk the right language. So it's very important that leaders talk the right language, give feedback, and it can be worked upon. So not everything will have a 6 months or a 12 months kind of thing. It could be a journey, right? There'll be some learnings, but then how are we, in taking the feedback and then acting upon it as an organization? And again, it's not only HR driven. Every strategy has to be owned with the partnership with business and HR. So that way.
When did you have any AI budget last year for your HR department?
Yes. Yeah.
You could do so.
Yes.
Could you utilize that 100%?
Not fully. As we said, we moved ahead in different phases. So we have that still with us. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had one more slide as to what's been the percentage usage. Was it at the beginning? One before that in percentages? Okay. What percentage of your HR department daily work is currently driven by True AI? 10 to 30%, which is okay. Maybe another 50% this is going to. So on an average, then typically within HR or talent acquisition, around 30-40% is what is being driven out there. Good. Thank you.
I think I have a point written here, which
Yes.
is very important. Whenever you put a tool into this environment wherein disruptions are taking places. So when we used to talk about SDLC model in IT, now this SDLC model is equally important in HR. So, with any tool, you need a certain amount of standardization. But you will also need certain amount of D stands for decentralization. And there are certain things within that tool you might not use. So you have to optimize later, which I would say liquidate those particular factors out of it. Try it for 6 months, see if it works. If efficiency is not there, then don't use it.
Correct.
And then
Correct.
the C stands for calibrations and collaborations. That is how you need to build within the industry ecosystem. You have to build that collaboration activity. So task identified for all. Role differentiation within how to use the AI within whatever software you're taking. So that is very important.
Considering we have the academia folks also sitting here, if you had to leave one suggestion for them as to how they can enhance the students' capability, competencies, what would that be? It could be in a word, it could be in a sentence.
So I think it is logical thinking still stands true, because to build an AI, you have to at least dream logical. So
even if it is outside AI, for students coming out of engineering, MBA, even the graduates.
I think what I have seen a little bit of difference is because people are consuming data bit-sized and they are aware GPTs are informing. What I see is there is a lack of awareness which I see in the market still.
At the student level?
At the student level.
Okay.
So that curiosity to know is not there. I'll just give you a very simple example. When I was a kid, or maybe a college grad, MP3s were also not there, to be honest.
Cassettes.
I was a Jagjit Singh fan. I used to sit in a cassette store, read each and every album of Jagjit Singh to find my right song. But in the process of doing so, I knew what was the first song Jagjit Singh sang, what was the last song which he sang, and which year. So that information is not going anywhere. Now information has gone in very specific. So trust me, all these I don't want to flaunt about it, Zen X, Zen Y, Zen Z's. I would say we were not the lucky ones. But 70% of our career has gone in data collation, data munching, data churning. This generation can do it in a seconds.
Seconds.
They need to know exactly
It's
how
readily
to,
available.
Yeah. They need to know how to build a story around it and do a storytelling. That's how.
What do you have to say, Veena?
So let me give you
Make it bold.
Yeah, I'll just give you an example. With most of the interviews happening virtually, what we found is the students were really good, or not just students, the engineers or anybody, you know. Then, so I think one of the interview, I just waved my hand like this, but that guy was continuously talking. Then what we realized is, later what we understood, he had a split screen, okay? One where there is chat GPT and he looks and answers. So that's where I think we changed our model. What we started doing is we adopted the STAR technique interviews. Situation, task, action, plan. So rather than asking a certain question, we used to pose a situation and ask them, how would you answer? How would you handle this? And that's where I think probably we got better candidates to bring in. So that's probably one thing.
Okay. What feedback would you like to leave with some of the representatives from institutes who are here? What do you want them to develop in students?
So in students, I think please give them, work simulations, give them real-time tests, live tests, then probably, and have a lot of sessions with the corporates, coming to them and explaining them what really happens. Because theoretically, I come from a very core engineering job, and when I went there, everybody is talking about Python. They were all mechanical civil engineers, but talking about Python, .NET and whatnot. When I asked them the core engineering questions, nobody here was able to answer well. And that's how probably even what I've seen in all the colleges is, because Hyderabad is more IT savvy companies here, they only train them. They say these people will come for placements, you rather learn these skills. It shouldn't be that way. I think if you're choosing a subject, strengthen your skills on that subject, for which I think take the help of all the corporates, organizations, have this one-on-one sessions with them. That will really, really help the students, and it will give them a clarity of what they want to choose.
Maybe you both can help answer at the campus hiring level. What would be the expectation thereon? Or what is that you see as missing today when you look at students? I have noticed one thing, that organizations go meet around 40 students and they come out with 2. What's going wrong?
Which is right, but I also see the different side of it, Chetan.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of confidence improved in the talent when I visit campuses. One advice I would leave to academia is inculcate the continuous learning as a practice. That's a never-ending thing. An engineer should always focus on what is the latest technologies. Is it Python, or is it AI? Or a non-engineering or a finance student should understand what are the new finance tools coming up. So continuous learning is something that we should inculcate in the students. And coming to conversion at the interviews or at campus levels, there is a lot of training is happening in colleges in terms of attending the campus interviews. What are the soft skills? What are the hard skills? What are the coding questions you might get in, right? If something out of a box comes in, they are flaunting there, right? So
what could be the reason?
It's too preparedness of what could expect, and when unexpected comes through their way, right? Because what we do is, as an organization, we continue to change for every batch the questionnaire. We don't follow the same practice.
And typically, a panel who is sitting in front of them tends to reject them. So would that be a fair deal?
Not always. But what happens is, while they're super confident, when they come for a conversation, when something like a reasoning question comes in, which they're not prepared for, they're a simple Python basic question, where you're being twisted to understand how logical and reasoning they are, like how our friend Prashant is talking about, Pratyush is talking about, in terms of inculcating the reasoning and logic as a knowledge or topics that they should cover on. If they are being twisted with a different logical question, they have been not able to address them. So going back to basics is something which is very important for the college students.
Smita, we all know that even the academia as an organization who do a lot of training program, bring people from outside, okay? Even practitioners like us, they want us to talk. While all that is happening, maybe a preparedness to the student, talking about, look, this is what we look at you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Would that make things better for a student, which is probably not given up today? That's not a heads up which is given to students today. Okay, they have no idea, because every organizations, like if Veena has to see from core engineering, they will go and look at it, but they have been prepared something else in that organization. Isn't that fixing required from the corporate and the enterprise level? What are your thoughts?
Again, a very interesting question. I was actually wanting to contribute to this aspect also, Chetan.
Thank you.
Right, so yeah, they are, like Medtronic as an organization does intern hiring, goes to campuses, and then there's a lot of conversion that we follow, like a big number. And one thing that I would actually more of advise to the universities and colleges is, rather than calling the organizations on the day of the placement or for the interviews, if there is one day kind of event which happens about each organization, what is the domain they are there into, right? Technology, yes, you guys are training the students, but what about the domains, right? Do they really understand that if they work on this technology, what are they actually catering towards, right? Like Medtronic as an organization is into medical devices, right? It's a medtech. So I mean, when patient centricity is again a strategy, right? Put patients first. What happens is, in which technology if you work, what is the kind of impact which is happening to the patients, right? Because the mission says 6 powerful words of Medtronic. It says, elevate pain, restore health, and extend life. How is it that you are able to contribute to the life of a patient, right? That is something that can be actually told during a 1 day or a 1 week kind of a series of sessions, where leaders from the organizations come and visit and talk to them about what the organization is, rather than just going and asking one technical question for an interview.
Exactly.
I think that will definitely make sense. Also, I see many
preparing them is
organizations.
more important, even from an enterprise perspective, because there has to be collaboration.
Right.
They need to be told what to come prepared.
What kind of an organization it is, I mean, they'll also get a brief view before the interviews. Apart from that, I think many organizations do work with the universities on building a curriculum in terms of the domain also. I think that is another step which can be explored by the universities and colleges. It will go a long way in placing candidates quickly, basically.
In fact, in the last 2 years, I've been visiting a couple of management institutes, delivering 5 days program on AI, okay, for HR team, marketing team, finance team, and how AI is being implemented within organizations, right? Now, I've seen 2 set of students, and just to add my perspective there, for some, it is a certification program. I'm here for the certification. And I somewhere feel that is strongly being pushed by the institutes, saying you need to get the certification, so just get this done. I've seen students just dozing off in the sessions, and they just don't care. They just sleep on the table wherever they are. And in one corner, they just keep giggling, they keep speaking, they're least bothered about what this person is all. There's another set of students who want to know beyond what has been delivered. I've got some of the students who stayed in touch even for 2 months, who reached out to me thereafter and said, sir, can you give me an internship in your organization? And we did provide that. We did take them for 3 months, and thereafter giving them a better exposure of what is happening in an AI tool or an AI product, or what all they can learn through. Now, with this being available, I somewhere feel if that can be set as an expectation in the institute's level, that's exactly what I was coming to, that rather than just pushing from an certification perspective, but if you can understand the core of why this is being done. And the 5 days is not just about ChatGPT. I've gone to the level of talking from the level 1 to level 5 of AI and what each level of them does, which normally doesn't happen. Within the institute also it doesn't happen. So I always leave that message with the institute saying, please help them get better than what they are doing rather than just pushing from a certification perspective. Okay, I come to my last question for the day, and this is going to be interesting because I have a short note on this. From my experience for decades, the hiring process is artificially limited to our talent pools. Okay, by enforcing what we call as the paper ceiling, if you have heard of paper ceiling, right? Filtering out brilliant candidates in discussion to what we are having on the previous thing, right? Simply because they don't have traditional degree. We have relied on that piece of paper because historically humans didn't have the bandwidth to verify the actual skills of 1,000 applicants in the past. But with AI, that excuse is going off now. A true decision intelligence layer allows us to finally tear down the paper ceiling, looking past the pedigree and hire purely based on capability. Now, please help me understand how much of your organization is hiring purely based on capability and not just looking at the degree, or whether somebody is coming from Tier 1 institute or Tier 2 institute. Are you still making the difference?
Yeah, I can add to that, Chetan. Definitely there is a transition in the industry and also in the organizations that I have been associated with in the past and even now. We see a transition from pedigree to proficiency, right? We are looking at candidates from tier 2, tier 3, cities. We are looking not only at the brands and the years of experience, but there is a range of experience given, and we also look around what is the skill, because as they say, right, a resume is something, a traditional resume will only carry the past of where they have been, but the skills that they have mentioned in that, resumes will actually make us understand where they can go.
And most of the CVs within an institute is all cut and paste. It all look the same, only the photographs would have changed on the top.
Right.
Including the mistakes.
Of course. Yeah, we do see that, but yeah.
How have you seen Lax?
Great. So for us, we being a product organization and we do thorough engineering hiring, what we look at is not one is certifications. Definitely we don't look at is that person AWS certified or Java certified and all, nor we look at has this person has very good experience, and when I say years of experience, predominantly how long this person worked on a Java or .NET. Instead, we will go back and look and has a person has solved a particular complex problem for us. Let's say we have to build a product which has to mine 1 billion of photos and gather the data from it. Has a person has experience solving this kind of problem earlier. So when we actually talk to the candidate or look at the profile, we've seen, go back and see the organization and see has this organization has the capacity to build such kind of products or not. We don't go back and say, hey, person has XYZ skill or a number of years of experience, certifications, is he qualified or not? No, I think recruiters spend a lot more time in terms of getting that thorough check done and then bringing them to the interview panel. Second thing is our leadership is also very much aligned to the thought process. They don't want to say that, hey, we only want .NET. One of our CTO comes in and says, Lax, if person has learned C or Java .NET and been learning various programming languages over the last 10 years, can't he learn a new programming language in a couple of months? I think we're okay to have someone who doesn't have a very strong understanding about the same programming language you're working upon, but person could or can solve what we've been working upon. That's where we should look at. And we also started enabling AI for a lot of our sourcing and screening process through our ATS 6 months back. And it doesn't understand what we need yet, because that comes from historically built by ATS, which has a different organizations, they implement the same modules. So even right now, what I'm talking about, machine intelligence with human wisdom, our recruiters, in spite of AI giving a lowest score, go back to the CV, screen them, and the shortlisted ones, we've seen that 30% of the hires we made in last 6 months are the ones that are rejected by AI for the specific requirement. But we still see a merit, and we understand that the models that we're using from AI needs that learning time, and the machine learning will take its own time to scale up, understand how we are selecting and rejecting certain candidates. So that's where a lot of effort is being given by recruiters, ensuring that the ATS that we're using needs a lot more time to be helped or handhold. And we don't see that as a burden or a failure from a system, because we hardly been using it for 6 months, and we know that minimum 18 months to 24 months is what we need to give a tool or system to make it successful. So that's where we are right now investing upon.
Good. Veena, anything different at your place?
So what we've done is, rather than just giving a JD, other than what is expected from the role, we have also developed a template of questionnaires.
Very good.
With very situation based, and how do they handle. If it is not, and we upload it, we ask to fill and give it to us. And when we receive that, we ask again questions, because even that when they upload it, it is a copy paste of Google or ChatGPT or whatever. So that's where on that we ask a lot of questions. X percentage, there is a messy data. Okay, how are you? What are the 3 different things? We give them samples. We show them samples.
Situational based.
Yeah, situation based. So this is how probably
decided to decentralize. When I say decentralize, so there are different verticals within the organizations: customer experience, data, AI. That every department needs a different persona. Okay.
Exactly.
So we have re-sketched our skill metrics in accordance to that. And what we do, it has been a very effective 2 years with campuses. We don't do much of it, but yes, whatever 200, 300 that we have hired, the success rate, I think, out of that, almost it has a very good NPS score.
Very good.
From that. So,
very good.
So that's what we have done differently. And their entire evaluation strategy is also different. So maybe the coding rounds are the same, but if I reach out to, say, for example, I go to BITS, and if I go to IIT, from the soft skill standpoint, there are different expectations.
Yes.
Because we believe that they are exposed to the larger global market than other engineering college because of their alumni. So that is how we have translated our strategies around campus.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you. I open up the floor for a few questions. Let's have some questions coming up. Yes, August.
Going through the previous charts, there's a serious trust deficit on AI.
Okay.
Right? So, and that's
Put up your questions there.
Yeah. Going through the last 3 charts at least, I see that there's a serious trust deficit on AI. You don't want AI to make that human decision, right? And that brings us to a challenge today in terms of the ethical uses of AI, 1, and 2 is, what are those data sets that AI makes that decision on? So unless we are able to provide those data sets, or you're able to train your AI model into it, you're not going to get there for AI to make those human decisions. And I'm for making some of those decisions, because what the human eye cannot see, AI can see. So that's a counterpoint. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you look at AI, in fact, I don't understand that the ethical AI implications, like for example, in healthcare and finance, there is a huge reservations. I was just speaking to a few of...
Very stringent.
Very stringent reservations, obviously. Stringent would be the right word. I was speaking to a couple of GCCs that I'm working with altogether. And there was a very simple that, okay, I understand you have a wonderful product and that you are proposing a wonderful product, but at the end of the day, these are the limitations. One wrong data can cost me millions. But yes, what I say is, maybe, see, India is the country where the implementation of AI is highest. Adoption, in fact, I would say, this is almost like 61%, even US is 55. So that is one data that we should be literally proud of. But again, what we can do is, in the area where the task is repeatable, at least don't target that AI will change your entire world. But even if you reduces your cost by 20%, increase your efficiency by 30% in certain area, that is also good, right? It is like somewhere people have a thing that we will bring AI and everything will change in one day.
Listen, my view has been that, I'll just cover this. My view, Augie, just to answer there, is that even when in the HR fraternity, when the LLMs are being built, right?
Correct.
One needs to have a good practitioner being there who understands the entire HR gamut.
Correct.
Okay. which has gone missing as I talked about those 267 organizations. I've got freshers, IIT Mumbai folks, 2 students who did an internship on an HR. They became an entrepreneur of that. And that's why we are doing this. Okay. When we started reviewing them, exactly like what Augie is talking about, those were the aspects which went missing inside the system. And I took the liberty to give them the feedback saying, look, you are coming from a tech perspective, but you're missing the human element which was required.
Correct.
That's where the trust deficit comes with. So today when I go with my product and the set of products what we keep building in the HR tech, I say these are the 7 products which are built in the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this is my AI entrepreneurship now in the last 2 years. In this 3 times I've washed away whatever I built also.
Yeah.
Even as an HR professional, it was not been easy because the AI keeps transforming like an amoeba. It's just changing its shapes and size. So we need to adapt back to that.
Yeah. Even if you do a role-based evaluation, to be honest, there is a dilution. How many organizations can say what is the difference between a software engineer and a senior software engineer? What happens altogether is, it is like years of experience is something becomes a parameter. But on the card, in fact, all the HR leaders, when we have our role architecture defined, there is certain 2 more like mentoring or maybe client interaction that would be heavier.
Yes.
But
like,
we don't differentiate that. So
like an employee, even the AI has to be looked into regularly, otherwise it will start hallucinating.
hallucinating. Yeah.
So coming back to your response, Augustus, right? There is in European Union, right? There's a policy or the AI Act. One of it says that fundamental right audit assessment. It is important when I was executing it for global TA acquisition for AI. I was asked to go and do an audit of fundamental rights of EU to ensure that if the person applies, that CV has to be weighted by a person, right? And how confident are you that AI has done a proper job? If it fails, like our instance is 30% of AI rejected profiles we're still hiring because we feel their worth. So we need to go back and do those audits, ensuring that the rights are not being misused while executing or implementing AI. Even let's take this all. How many of us use AI for drafting emails? Can raise of hands? Most of it, right? There's a memes right now in social media. Yeah, there's memes in social media saying that, it's a meme of AI saying that I can move mountains, but this human is using me for only drafting an email, right? So it's like, it's an AI version saying that I'm getting fed up with a human. I need some better human to deal with me, right? So that's a kind of AI utilization right now. But having a right guardrails, I was talking in the earlier conversation, it's a machine intelligence, but without human wisdom, it's nothing right now. But will it be a superpower? It has high potential to be a superpower in future, but that comes along with the human wisdom for the next couple of years until we see that independently functioning there.
Thanks, please go ahead.
I've got 2 questions. Sorry, you want to continue?
No, please go ahead.
Okay, I've got 2 questions, one for Veena separately and one for Smita separately. Regarding Veena, I'd like to submit saying, my name is Vijay Vedantam. I'm the president and founder of a company called Atlas Financial Research. And we do a lot of work for the bank and projects coming up, TEV studies. One of the companies I used to go regularly is this company called Access Energy. And when I went inside, I was totally confused. The board contained so many companies affiliated to it, and some are independent, some are with partner with some foreign company, Brookfield, or I don't know. So I just want to understand one question. You are hiring a lot of people, and the technologies are from God knows from where, the hybrid, wind, solar, hydrogen, green hydrogen, etc. And you are still labeled as one of the best workplaces to work in this country. What specific initiative you took to manage this vast hiring and also the different technologies in a very complicated situation, no? Even today, I don't know how many companies are there on your board when I come to that Access Energy. I handle some of them, by the way. I'm officially employed with State Bank of India and other banks. So, but please tell me the secret sauce. What did you do? What is special intervention?
They didn't use AI.
They didn't, no. They must be using, so I don't know, yeah, they didn't use, maybe.
You said it's a secret. should remain a secret.
No, some special
Yeah.
initiatives.
So, first thing, the multiple companies that you see, the model that we work is different. All those companies are the SPVs that we have, since we work on multiple projects,
Yes.
right? So that's why you find so many name boards. While we work as a single company, we are hardly 300 plus employees. That's it. But number of company boards are more than that.
But, so any specific intervention?
Yeah, so thank you again for branding Access so much. We've been certified as a great place to work for last 4 years and also certified as best workplaces in the energy oil sector, oil gas sector.
Yes.
So one, I think, biggest plus point that we have is multi-generational workforce. Second is the demographics. Say we have people studying, coming from IIT to ITI. So that's the combination that we have. When I say multi-general workforce, it is the senior most retired people also have an opportunity with our organization. So please share your CVs. So their experience, their mentorship helps the younger generation. Okay, so there is a lot of learning that adds up there. Okay, so that's one plus point. And if you look at our attrition rates are very low.
Yes.
More than 53% of our employees have stayed with us beyond 7 years. So that's probably one of the secret sources. Why? Because there are opportunities. Like I said, we build up people, give them a lot of opportunities. It is just not the salary only that they are interested. It is what next for me. So that we have created. Probably that's where I think we've been successful.
Ma'am, coming back to Smita. Smita, see, I'm Vijay and I started my career after my MBA in Symbiosis. I started in a company called Transasia Biomedicals, which was in the medical diagnostic space and reasonably well-known company. So I have observed Medtronic for last many years. I was a key accounts manager, head of Mumbai. I handled all the accounts, some thousands of them pan-India. Now, what I want to know is that what is that? You also, I think, certified as one of the great places to work.
Right.
And that is also very diversified. You have got equipment, you got even patients, you got diabetes center, you got, I don't know, God knows.
Correct.
And you got diabetes diagnostic centers, hospitals, God knows.
Yeah.
Tell me one thing, what is the specific trait that you observed in an employee that is not in the resume that has made him very successful in your organization? That is not on the resume.
Right. I think it's the way, like, I mean, I have been very proud to say that, so far we always heard the term that doctors save lives, right, of patients. But then at Medtronic, right, I mean, the leadership, the culture that we have been driving is that engineers can also save lives. So that is something that has struck chord with the candidates and the employees that have been joining. They know that, okay, whatever work that they are contributing towards, it's not just, making some millions or billions, but adding life, right, to the patients. Or, as I said, right, the 6 powerful words that we say: elevate pain, restore health, and extend life. So that is the mission that they're connected to. I think that's making them stay. And yes, we have been certified for 5 years in a row, top 25 best organizations in the medtech space also. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. In fact, the interesting part is from both of you, we got to know a little more than what you spoke in the beginning. Okay, thank you very much. In the interest of time, I'm going to stop this session. I would request the participants to reach out to our phenomenal panelists during the break. Spend some time, ask your more questions, get some answers. And thank you, ASSOCHAM. Thank you, panelists, for being here. Thanks for taking time to be with us today. Do spend the rest of the evening with the other folks in the audience. Give them your inputs too. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chetan. Thank you. Thanks, ASSOCHAM.
Thank you, Chetan.
Over to you.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Dinesh, I need you for a photo.
Please.
Yeah, we can actually come
Anyways,
to the place.
please.
Thank you.
One photo. Four for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chetan. Thank you and the team.
So like you said, engineers save lives, right? So I used to work with Cardinal Health. Okay. So they had chasing zero. Okay. They said the Six Sigma.
Sorry for the delay in the session. Now we'll go to the session number 4.
Which is the patient's mouth.
age-inclusive workplaces from generational harmony to mid-career design. The session is moderated by Nav Kisle, CEO Purna Kala, and the panelists would be Mr. Ravi, Principal Data Scientist INOS, and Ms. Arsha, Director HR Pegasystems, Dr. Anand Reddy, HR Etero, and Ms. Uma Rauji, Fractional CHRO and the Senior HR Leader. Thank you. I request all the panelist members and also the moderator to please come onto the stage. Thank you. Thank you now. I request you to please take ahead. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chetan, for a wonderful panel discussion. Really enjoyed it. And taking it further from AI to the humans. And now we are moving to the next topic of our discussion, age-inclusive imperative. And to start with, I would like to introduce all my panelists over here. So we have Mr. Ravi Katukam as the first panelist. He is a principal data scientist at EONES, expertise in AI, ML, deep learning, computer vision, MTech from IIT Mumbai, led roles at AR Think AI, Techolution, Hackathon winner, right? Then we have Ms. Harsha Yelamuraju, HR Director at Pegasystems with 20 plus years in talent strategy, organization development, change management, ProSci certified, designs career architecture for thriving workplaces across geographies. The next one is Dr. Anand Reddy, PhD in leadership, executive coach Marshall Goldsmith, psychologist, trainer at Hetero, transformed L&D, ISCD chairman, 30 plus publications, multiple HR awards. And then we have Ms. Uma Rao Ganduri, fractional CHRO with 30 plus years across IT, manufacturing, telecom, ex-TCS, IBM, TIS alumni, mentors talent, and academic council member, and diversity advisor. We had one more panelist. Unfortunately, she was not able to join us today because she's a little under the weather. Ms. Pavani Vyasam, Senior Director, People and Culture at Innovative, 20 plus year driving HR strategy, analytics, engagement in tech, SaaS, builds a high performing team via data and inclusion, right? So we will have straight 4 questions to the panelists, and for 4 rounds, the first 4 rounds, we'll have 2 panelists talking on that different questions. The first theme of our discussion is focusing on age-inclusive imperative. There are few data what we know at the workplace. Currently, 37% of the workforce comprises of Gen Z in the workplace. 22% belongs to millennials, right? Around 12% is for the Gen X or the boomers, and the senior one, 4%. They are the one who actually bring in wisdom and experience to the organization. Now, keeping this bifurcation into mind, I would like to start the discussion. And the first theme is age-inclusive imperative. And I am directly throwing this question to our panelist, Dr. Uma and Mr. Ravi. The question is very simple, that how can organizations implement reverse mentoring and cross-generational projects to effectively motivate Gen Z using seniors' wisdom?
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you, ASSOCHAM. Thank you, Augie, for having me here. And great pleasure to be with Nav and the team here. You know, when you talk about reverse mentoring, to me, this is like a two-way street. And everybody likes a two-way street, isn't it? You get something and you give something, basically. And what, with my own experience, what I've seen is it's really futile to brand generations as good or not good at something or bad at something. I think what really makes a lot of economic and business sense is to utilize and leverage every generation's strengths to make a full. Okay? Now, I remember when I was with Ashok Leyland, one of the conditions the managing director had in making the task force was to have a very healthy mix. You need to have all kinds of people in it, whether it's gender, whether it's age, whether it's backgrounds, etc. Take it a little into the IT sector. Composition of teams, always insisted on senior-junior ratio. And there's a reason to do that. One is there's an economic reason. Second is there's such a good synthesis of the traditional wisdom with new age thinking. So I think I would stick to that and say that, give up terms like all old guard and things like that. Start calling them as institutional wisdom, people who carry the institutional wisdom, and they bring a lot of knowledge to the fore of the organization. You have to remember, you will either succeed or fail in the backdrop of the organization. You're not actually exclusive of that. And if you do something which works there, it's a great thing. Otherwise, the best of schemes will not work if culturally they don't align. So that's one thing which is very important. So why do we need Gen Z or the newer age folks? Because of their digital fluency, their ability to adapt to a lot of things. But make no mistake, friends, about what the other generations can do. Okay? We cannot typecast them saying that this is what it is. So what do? You actually help with a lot of tech support centers, so that if somebody has some inhibition to do something, they can reach out to someone without being judged. Okay? Now I just want to tell you that when I was posted outside of the country, back in those times, there was chat. And my 70-plus-year-old mom actually learned how to chat. She doesn't know English, she didn't know how to type, but she used one finger and she learned. And after that, by God's grace, we had a voice chat. And today, she sends me emojis on WhatsApp, saying I love you and all that on my birthday. She's only 90 years of age, right? So what I say is, let's not underestimate what generations can do or not do.
Thank you. Ravi?
Yeah, thanks now. Let me start by saying some observations. Today's generation is, they are in a hurry to quickly start their career. Today's second year engineering graduate doing 2 internships, or third year, some colleges even allow fourth year entire, they may not go to college. They can fully in the internship and they start earning, right? There are some colleges. So we are seeing a generation where they quickly want to start into the career, not because, maybe because of finance reason, or maybe their peer pressure. People are doing, and now my friend has done a project and he has posted on the Twitter or LinkedIn. And same project they want to do as a hackathon. It has to be done as a serious project, but if you put as a hackathon, you see 1,000 people participating. And these are the things that this entire generation is going through. I don't know whether it is good or bad, but we should remember that building institutions needs to be with a serious effort. Individual has a limited life, institution has infinite life, right? Individual has 50, 60, 70 years, but institutions, they can run for 100, 200 years institutions we see, right? So the connecting that individual with institution needs a lot of other elements, not just the energy of Gen Z, right? You need a process, you need wisdom, and you need mentorship. See, today we need the senior folks to build institutions by connecting these individuals who are younger. And in that process, you discover the innovator in these young generations. Today we are all discussing AI as a new electricity, right? So everybody wants to play with electricity, but you need to know electricity, it gives shock also, right? So see, I'll take an example from our organization. there are some sensitive client information that should not be uploaded to any Perplexity or ChatGPT. But young generation, they don't care about what kind of document it is. First thing he will do is upload to ChatGPT and get some insights, how to solve this problem and all, right? This is like using electricity without training, without a safety glove, right? So these things has to be first, let us go with proper mentoring, then reverse mentoring. The mentoring that any mother or father or head of the institution will give, those are the safeguards to build institution. Then reverse mentoring, I can see on the digital friendliness and the using latest tools, definitely young generation are good at it, and they can be key players in the team to adapt the new technology. And one more thing organization should do is frequently, at least in a 1 year span, give 10-15 days to learn new technology to all the senior folks. Right? They see, if somebody Gen Z comes and says, Nano Cloud or Cloud Opus, the senior should not say, what is that? Right? Why don't you train these guys properly, systematically? Yearly, 10 days, 15 days, you learn some new skill. Come up with that certification, whatever it is. Okay? That's how we can build institutions that can live forever. Okay? So that's what my opening remarks. Now, thanks for that.
Thank you, Ravi. So that actually gives me a segue to go to the next theme, which is focusing on the career lattice. I personally, I can talk about myself in 2021. I did reach a moment or a stage where I felt a little burnout of what I was doing in my life in terms of career. I was very happy with what I was doing. And but then what I remember is that I was continuously taking sessions on labor laws and compensation benefit. My boss is sitting here, Mr. Animesh Rai, and I remember every day taking the same such sessions were actually getting onto my nerves. And I'm thankful that I was able to take those sessions, but there was a time when I had to decide that, okay, what next? And how interesting I can make these sessions for myself and others. So I started exploring a little bit more. I had to take a break of almost an year or a half to understand and explore and re-explore. So my question is to Dr. Anand. What career lattice models support adjacent transitions? For example, from IT to business roles, or nowadays we are also hearing or listening to the fact that people are ready to take early retirements. So how do we deal with that, managing early retirements in the organization?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it's one of the interesting points that we need to discuss here. Previously, we used to have a retirement age of 58. So probably after retirement, what we could do, people used to plan. But today, the generation is the retirement age is around 45 to 50. So it's officially they are declaring themselves as a retirement. Maybe next generation, I'm not sure if they cross 30 also for their retirement.
I think Arijit
Singh is the question that I have now.
Sorry, Arijit Singh has recently retired from singing. So we can take a clue from there.
So now, keeping this in mind, I was just doing some thought about around this particular question. Now, why this concept comes to their mind is that it's just because of an identity crisis, what we call it as. Now, what is that identity crisis? Is that who am I beyond my designation? So when people ask this question, then they start looking into this particular thing. Now, usually the mid-careers, if you look at, probably they have completed 10 plus years of experience, which indicates they have got a very good experience, exposure, as well as they have got a rich, the exposure to the industry, what to do and what not to do. So that's why if I have to completely fit this entire forum into one thing, I would speak about, now it is not a shift from settled to, it is actually a shift from settled to scalable. So now they want to use it. What is that I can do? What is that I can contribute to?
Maybe can I be an individual, or even in the organization, can I do something different? Now, this is what exactly these people are focusing on, because they are high in competence, high in experience, but low in excitement, actually speaking. Because, we call it as now mid-career is a maintenance age, actually speaking. Because, that's what we look at it. It's a maintenance age, but that's why excitement is low. Now, definitely when people are looking at alternative careers, looking at something to establish, now what do they need to focus? Now, there are few things that people need to focus as a L&D person. I wouldn't say that they need to upskill, but probably reskill. Yeah. Because now generations are changing and the technology is changing. The lifespan of learning has reduced drastically. Once upon a time it was 10 years. Today, I don't think it's a 6 months old also, because every 6 months you are getting a new technology. Unless you reskill yourself with the latest technology, probably you will be ruled out. So that's why we keep saying, today being from pharma, I would say, if you know all about compliance, then you are settled. But today it's no more. It's also you need to know how to use the technology in the compliance, and only then the survival can happen.
Great. Thank you. Harsha?
I think this works. I'm now wondering, should I be thinking of retirement? I didn't think about it yet. But where I come from is a very different world. I come from a product organization. And like through the day, we've been talking about AI and how that's going to have an impact on this organization's size. So organizations are going to be conservative about their headcounts growing up, etc. Now, given that, career development or career growth from an employee point of view, that becomes a concern for all the HR professionals, right? Because you go to a certain point and you're not growing in your headcount, your roles are not becoming larger. What becomes important is what you are delivering, what are you working on. That only becomes a key component, and for the employee to feel a sense of growth. So what we've been doing at Pegasystems, that's where I work, is number one, there's a constant branding of educating employees about what is career growth, not essentially linear. Now, let me tell you, that's the most difficult part, because if you had asked me this question, are you growing? For me, my growth from a manager to a senior manager to a director, that's very linear. To undo that conscious perception of what growth is and positioning growth as a career lattice, right? That is like a jungle gym. I'm here, I can jump there, I can jump here. I gather portfolio of experiences. I think we are trying to position this, bring it up wherever possible in lot of forums. Our leaders role model this concept saying career lattice is the future. Because you're going to hit a certain point and then probably you will not get those fancy titles in the organization. So that's number one. Now the second question is, how are you going to build this portfolio of experiences, right? I'm doing today, for example, I'm into engineering. Now, if I want to get into product development, we heavily lean on internal mobility opportunities. There's a lot of focus again saying, why don't you apply? And we do encourage our managers also to bring it up in their performance conversation, saying, okay, you've been in this role for 4 years. Where do you think your interest lies? Where do you think is your skill in terms of other functional areas? I think that becomes an important point for employees to start considering what else can I do and not just consider a linear growth. Of course, there are the traditional opportunities like rotations, there are shadowing. I think what we are seeing increasingly relevant in the last 2 years is conversations about it. Do you want to rotate? Do you want to shadow another team? And pushing employees saying, why don't you look at lateral possibilities? So that would be my 2 cents about career lattice.
That's interesting to know about it. And from there, I would like to pick that thing, that is it about understanding that I have to move from one position to the other position laterally, horizontally, or vertically? Or is it about just leaving what I'm doing and changing the direction in which I'm working right now?
See, this can be different for, it's very personal to the employee, right? And the conversation is from the point of the employee's world saying, what is growth for me? Is growth for me moving at the same level to a different function or a higher level in a different function? I think it's a very personalized conversation, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. This also now takes me to the next part, and I'll come back to Ravi and Anand for this. In what ways can workplaces foster self-trust or relaxation in the Gen Z and Gen Y development to close confidence gaps, if at all it exists, or to minimize the lack of communication which exists in certain ways in them?
So I'll take this first. So there are a couple of things with respect to Gen Y, especially because that's what we are speaking about. Usually I keep saying when the previous generation were in the schools, most of the people were beaten. But Gen Y, if somebody is beating, the same previous generation is going to question. And Gen Alpha, if somebody is raising their voice, it's all the more they themselves are going. So that's a transition that we are seeing. So now here, probably Gen Y, what couple of challenges that we come across in the process of interaction. Now, the point number one is it's a constant comparison. Now, why this constant comparison culture that has been developed Gen Y is that it's all because of maybe social media or the technology. So it's looking at I do a post today, or I upload the status. Almost every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, we keep checking how many likes, how many views which have come in. Now, this is one of the things probably which is bothering these people. And second one is a performance anxiety which is there. Now, why this performance anxiety? It's not that they don't perform. They perform extremely well. But I would call it as an imposter syndrome that they are suffering with. Now, why this imposter syndrome? What I'm saying is that, see, probably I'm doing it excellently well, but I need some authentication to say that I'm doing it well. And always there is an element of fear. What happens if something goes wrong? That's one. And second is, probably they also have got a, what we call it as today, FOMO, that fear of missing out the things. See, today I'm here, and there is another conference which is happening there. If I'm not there, somebody else is there, probably I'm missing out these things. So this is also one of the probable challenge that we are coming across. And the third one is, it's an information overload.
Yeah.
Now that's plenty of information. You give it everything, anything is there, they are available with a plenty of information. So what to do with that information and when to use it, how to use it, probably it's a challenging. Olden days, one boss used to say, then that was percolating down, probably some additions. But today, it's everywhere, it's available. And the fourth one, which is, I think it's a very, very common with a Gen Y, delayed gratification and frustration. This is called a delayed gratification frustration. They do something, and if they don't get something, a response immediately or gratification immediately, that's a frustration. And this is very, very common. That's why today, I'm sure most of the people, when you do satisfaction surveys, now this is what they say, my work is not being recognized, I'm not being appreciated. So these are the kind of outputs that we keep getting. So this is one thing that we are probably coming across. And I'm sure now, how do we fill this particular gap is one of the things that we want to look at. Now, it's probably, I would call it as these people have got a success pressure plus visibility pressure, which is leading to a chronic stress. So now, success pressure and visibility pressure. So these are two which are, this Gen Y is actually driving with. Now, what is need to be bridged is that probably it's a self-assurance that they need to give it by themselves. Because if you look at somewhere outside, everybody is busy. Now, unless I feel that, yes, what I'm doing is right, or probably the closed network circle who can give that assurance, all this imposter syndrome or FOMO will go away. Thank you.
Thank you. Ravi?
Yeah. I think you have nicely put it, all the factors that are leading to Gen Z to be so excited or wanting to get the results quickly. But this is where the Indian wisdom comes into picture. That's what I say. You do karma, don't expect results. Which is completely 100% opposite of, I did some work tomorrow, I need promotion or some appreciation, right? So there are 3 P's I can say: passion, purpose and pursuit. The last P is missing in everybody. Okay, like in music, the pursuit is more important, right? You are passionate, music or medical sciences, these kind of things, you need to pursue it till the end, right? And you need to, I'll take one example from Mahabharata episode, when, this Yaksha Prashna episode is there. King Yudhishthira was asked by Yaksha, by reading which Shastra a man becomes wise. Then Yudhishthira says, there is no Shastra, there is no course, there is no university, there is no PhD, there is no online course, by doing which man becomes wise. Then what for all these many universities, all these Shastras? Then what is the way one will become wise? Means by associating with the people of wisdom, one becomes wise. Okay? So these people of wisdom, their job is to engage this Gen Z, whatever you call, on the what are the real values of life. What really gives at the end of the day. See, you take the mentorship of Satish Dhawan and Abdul Kalam relation, Sachin and Ramakant Ashrekar relation, Vivekananda Ramakrishna relation, SP Balasubramaniam Kodandapani relation, PV Sindhu Gopichand relation. Right? What ultimately created history is that long-term pursuit. Not that I posted today, 10 my friends commented, liked, disliked and all, right? So, the real values are not taught really. That's what I can say. And like they should also understand that there is a 360 degrees to life. One is you have regular career. Second is where you are good at or which gives you happiness. Some people, doctor and recognized for music. Scientists recognized for music. So the hobbies part of his part and duties part of it. If we have 2 paths in life, hobbies 180 degrees, duties 180 degrees, then you have 360 degrees of life. It is a complete life. Right? So that education has to be there, maybe at college or wherever, whatever is the right place, but it should be there. That's what my opinion.
That's very nice, very wise, I would like to say. I would quickly jump to the next question, and that's for Harsha and Dr. Uma. So which policies for tech adoption or regulated work hours or short work weeks best promote age-inclusive practices? Or anything beyond this you think will actually work for our current workforce or workplace?
It's a great question. And I think this is where a lot of companies are spending a lot of time in India, for sure. Because in the US, flexible work policies have existed for a very long time. But in India, we've been very regimented about a work day and things like that. Thanks to IT, certain degree of flexibility has come, but not necessarily in every industry, as I've seen. I'm not sure about the rest. Because I've been in manufacturing for a long time. You can't do flexible working. And there's also that guilt that a corporate office carries all the time about, factory working all the time and you guys, having flexible time. So I think it's a huge mindset shift that needs to happen, and it is happening, right? Some of the things which I've been witness to or I drove myself, was something that I'd like to share. One is co-evolving policies. Get a task force of people of different generations, etc., and let them review the policy and co-evolve new policies where required. Actually, so that, everybody's voice is heard a lot. Second thing, learning, again, make it collaborative. KPIs, again, team KPIs, so that everybody, has their skin into the game and wants to do it. We've also done something like core hours, which exists largely in IT maybe, but not in non-IT, but we drove that. Driving a 5-day work week was the most Herculean task I faced in 2 manufacturing companies. Again, for the same reasons that, people in factory are working all the time. So even for the factory, we made it as alternate Saturdays and made it as a 5-day, for which I had to present a long business case, by the way, which seems very, very simple in many other sectors. So I think we have to put our conviction behind what we want to drive in terms of flexibility and bring processes and systems in a manner that it allows for people to work together. The other one is a shorter work week. I know there's an analytics company in Chennai which actually works only 4 days, officially. They don't work an entire week. Now, you could explore that. Even if you can't do it for everybody, can you sort of phase retirements in a way that people start working a fewer hours and take a little more time off and contribute meaningfully for the time that they spend here? It is not impossible. Many companies don't even have a part-time employment contract in place. Mr. Rao will, I'm sure, know that. They don't have a part-time contract in place because you're only designed and wired for a full working day, right? But now with the FTH and all the new codes coming, we have to start thinking differently. Yeah? So I'm happy to work 200% if you allow me to work 3 days in a week. Please don't push me to work 5 or 6 days in a week. But today we don't have those kind of arrangements, but I think slowly companies have started working on that. Again, audit for age bias. Can you sort of do a little audit in the company to check what is not being offered to people on the basis of age, whether it's people in the younger generation or the older generation? Okay, because this is clearly an age bias. And many places, recruitment, you actually sort of shield that field of gender and things like that. I think we have to do it for age as well. A classic example, Dr. Reddy's hired the head of quality. Quality in a pharma is one of the most compelling functions. Anand, I'm sure you will agree on that. They hired her at the age of 65, right? If somebody like that that company can do it, what's the problem for others to do that? Oh, they write over there, beyond 50 you can't apply. Should I go and commit suicide because of that? Come on, guys, be kind to people who spent years learning things, grooming people, contributing to your company. What is this going on? How can you shield people away on the basis of age? And I think this is very important to understand. Again, I mentioned earlier, but if you really want every generation to adopt technology, as every company should, please set up these help desks. Okay? Tech help desks really help people to ask questions without inhibitions. Because if at my age, if I were to ask a younger person, I may have some inhibitions. Oh, will they think that I don't know anything? And already, I see a lot of older people trying to behave like really young people. You really don't need to do that. Age gracefully, for God's sake. Why do you have to compete with the other generation, right from the dressing to behaviors to jumping around? And this is what happened. Somebody tried to do that on the stage. They fell down and they broke their bones, which a youngster would not have. Because your bones become brittle as you age. This is a reality of life. So we can't defy all these things and try to do funny things just to keep ourselves, sort of in circulation, in inverted commas. Be who you are in your skin, feel most comfortable, and contribute the way you want to do. So I think tech support without inhibitions is a great thing. In TCS, when Dr. Chandra introduced this Ultimatics, the one window for all things, the biggest reason for success was the tech support given at every center. They said, you know what, I'm going to look at every utilization billing only there. Please go and talk. It doesn't matter if you've not done it. Please go and talk to them and get your issues resolved. So help. Please do that. And finally, I think output-based evaluation. Please don't look at who's done, what they've done, etc. There was a task the team had to do, and have they delivered or not. I mean, these are things I would believe will be a few things.
Thank you. Harsha.
Great points, Uma. In fact, I have a different spin to a couple of points that you touched, right? The age bias bit of it. Especially where I work, people who are a little more senior in their roles, obviously a little more older, there is a lot of positive currency for them because it's a product organization. Now you are celebrated more because you are in the system and you know it all, etc. Now compare it to the youngsters who are with the organization for 4 years, they don't feature in your top 2 lists. They don't feature, their names are not in the equity lists, etc. So what we are consciously doing now, I think we've started it the last couple of years. So there's a very intense audit which goes down in terms of ratings, which levels, which grades. And we are trying to be very conscious of the bias we have for the senior folks in the system and trying to see where do we have our superstars in the Gen Z. Who are the rising stars? So it's a reverse spin. The second point that you talked about in terms of learning the tech help desks, I love that too. So what we do is now learning is also changing. I'm sure, Anand, you agree. It's self-paced. You take your own pace. Everything is right there. I take 4 hours versus you are a Gen Z, you take an hour. I don't think anybody cares. But I think that's being very agnostic of your age and creating a space for your, your way of learning. So that's another thing I can think of. Thirdly, in terms of benefits, I think what we also do differently is it's an age-inclusive benefit. You're a 25-year-old, you're not married yet, you want to have a very different health plan. You don't want to go through those 100 things, which probably at my age I want to go and get checked. Right, so you're able to customize depending on your age. So this is a very age-inclusive benefit flexibility that we focus on. So I think as organizations, we need to be age-agnostic in places where I just mentioned and age-inclusive where it is required.
That's an interesting point, right? Quickly, I will take the last round where I just want one sentence from each one of you. Looking at 2030, how should leaders demonstrate adaptability, respect, and actions to mitigate age bias through team success? Anyone can start.
Yeah, I think Uma touched upon it. I'm now thinking what else.
Yeah, so in my opinion, today the leader, let us define the leader, the new gen leader. So maybe they are 30, 35, not the 50, 60 years of directors or chairmen of organization. Today, the maybe average CEO's age is 35 to 40, right? So, and sometimes you may be need to working under Gen Z itself, right? Yesterday I saw some school guy giving keynote at India AI Summit. If they start the companies and somebody joins them, so first they need to understand institution is a set of people of various thoughts, cultures and ages. Okay, various experiences, not just somebody with better AI, better data science, right? So first that leader should understand I am working with a lot of people of different backgrounds and cultures. Second is, one idea I am throwing is in terms of career guarantee, like what is happening today is with the new tech coming at 30 to 45, you are in urgency to make quick money or quickly earn so much that you are secured in terms of personal side when there is a challenge to your job. Can we have some organization or some entity the way you have life insurance kind of thing, you pay something and they take care of some other issues or emergencies? Can there be any career assurance or insurance kind of thing? I pay some amount regularly when I am actively making money in 10 years of life. Then if there is anything that goes wrong with my career, it is taken care then until I find next career option. Right? So that kind of some arrangement should be there so that these issues or the fears can be eliminated. Those are my comments.
Okay, probably what I would say maybe 2030. So all the seniors, I'm not mentioning any age bar here. So all the seniors will be working with the established organizations. All the juniors will be working as a consultants with the startups. So probably that's a reason my suggestion to all the thing is that, everybody here. So probably if all the leaders, can we make all the youngsters be a consultants to their own functions and leaders be advisors to them? That's the best that I can suggest.
Thank you.
It's quite a utopian question, right? We can always give gyan in terms of leaders should behave this way. But I don't know if I would like to take that path. I think a couple of examples that Uma talked about, I shared. Your systems and processes have to be a little more inclusive, agnostic, and that's how you can build workplaces instead of saying a leader ideally should do this. That's a hygiene, right? You expect leaders to have a very inclusive point of view. If you recall, a couple of years ago, there was so much of focus on inclusion and inclusion of various things, and age was one of those high inclusion points that organizations were really working towards. So I would say, apart from that, it's your systems and policies which have to just come together to make sure that you have a workplace where everybody thrives. And especially in IT, if you see the change, people don't ask you the age any longer. It's only some enthusiastic recruiters probably go, when did you finish your engineering and degree, and spot it. But otherwise, that's not a conversation you bring in. Second conversation, I know, for example, people don't ask your last compensation also. So we are being progressive in certain ways of not bringing in certain elements and, you know, building a biased organization. I think if we continue to take that path, we should be in a good place and spot.
Thank you. Umaji?
So from me, apart from what I said, I envision the new age leader of current times, or 2030, as you said, as a person who understands that they're leading perspectives, not ages, people with ages. And perspective can actually bring out something much bigger and better of different people than a sum of parts. So if I'm, as a leader, able to appreciate the strength of my team in problem solving and everything else, the rest, you know, really doesn't matter. I could actually have everybody in a wheel without even looking at their face and just do some amazingly great work. Yeah? Thank you.
Thank you. So, I'll come to the audience with the questions. Before I come to you guys, I have something to share, and then I'll open the platform for all of you. So this is something which happened in 2021, and I have a neighbor, and his son was I think three and a half years, and he's very fond of me. He calls me Chachu. So he came and he started playing with me, and suddenly he asked me, Chachu, I have a question. I said, yeah, tell me. So what's the height of Eiffel Tower? I said, Eiffel Tower? How do you know Eiffel Tower? First tell me that. But then I realized that he watches a lot of cartoons on YouTube, and he has been introduced to the concept of Eiffel Tower. So I was not in a mood to search, and I said 228 meters. I just gave a random number, and he said, you are lying. I said, what? It's like, how do you know that I'm lying? So he said, just a second. So he came to my room. There's Alexa over there. And he said, Alexa, can you tell me the height of Eiffel Towers? Right? So then I realized that this generation cannot be fooled, because they have access to a lot of information. And taking that cue, I realized that you have to always be on your toes when you're dealing with this particular generation. You can't just say something and move on because they have all the information available, right? Also, I have started something called Purnakala, and it's a Gurukul and it's a university, but this idea came to my mind in 2014. And I was rejected multiple times, worked with Deshpande Foundation, met so many people over there, presented my idea, got rejected. Currently, my team has around 55 people, and I'm the youngest one, 43. And the most youngest is Mr. O.P. Khanna, who's 88, first batch of IIT Kharagpur. He's the chairman of the project, and we were discussing. So just 2 weeks back, we were discussing, like, listen, we are creating this project for youngsters. We don't have it in our team, right? So can we start looking for people? And he came up with one important thing. He went through angioplasty 3 weeks back. And then he called me and he said, now I want to meet you. I said, yeah, okay. Because he has the maximum share in the organization. And he said, son, you need to start working on succession planning. Not just for me, for yourself as well. So you have to have a clarity that what is going to happen 10 or 15 years from now, and how the process and systems can be created so that it's not an individual heroism, rather it is basically a system and process which allows multiple heroes to come up in the organization. So that is something which I felt that is an important aspect of a leader who knows when and how to move on. That's very important, right? Okay, the floor is yours. So yes.
Okay. Thank you. Wonderful session now, and thank panelists. I'm just taking a cue from what Ravi had mentioned, 180 degrees and another 180 degrees. It is a very curious point, and Now and I, we have discussed about this multiple times in the last 3 years, or 3 to 4 years, I would say. Both coming from music background, both coming from stage artist background. We know what it means to have that culture in each one of them. And over the conversation, it's also been that this is not something which can start at the college level. And I feel it has to start much earlier, at the age of 3 or 4, and it should start from home and not in any institute. And that's the belief. And wherever I go to any institutes, I tell them that don't just focus on getting your 99% pass out of your students. Please look at what else can you identify in them and make them get into those learning. Now, at least from our generation perspective, that is how it was. If my parents were into music, they ensured that we were in music. I ensured my kids are in music, and that continues. Somewhere I feel the parents have not been inculcating that. They have been dropping the ball somewhere. Because the expectation is I'm sending them to a big institute, they should take care of, or they will take care of, which is not happening. Okay, so it was more of a compliment to Ravi's point. Thank you for bringing it up, and I hope at least the group here, the audience here, will take back to their home as well as to their institutes, their kids, etc., to bring those and inculcate the values and culture. Thank you again.
Thank you, Chetan.
Oh, by the way,
I just wanted to have a different point of view, right? The parents being solely responsible for how your child shapes up. I think there's an environment which is so different from how you grew up. So these kids are born into a digital world. Their experiences are so different. And I say this because I have 2 kids. I have a 21 and 19-year-old. I think we have 2 options. One, look from a space of judgment, saying, oh, they are not disciplined, they are, glued to their phones. And when you look at from that space, you're going to work from a space of bias and disregard their strengths, which is what most of us do, including my husband. And that's why, even though they bring in a potentially inspiring thought, you don't entertain it because you're already so biased, because they're so different from how you are. I think all of us need to have an open mind, appreciate that today's generation is so different from how they see the world, and then come from that space, and I think then you'll discover that they are beautiful people. They are different from us, but they're great. So that's my take on this whole matter. Thanks.
They can actually do better than what we have done.
Yes.
They just need the guidance.
Okay, I found it very interesting in terms of this, like in marketing we talk about customer experience, and here we talk about employee experience and building inclusive high performance teams and all this. No? So I have a rough idea of some of the panelists. Somebody from ISTD I know very well. I know some expert in the HR segment in everywhere, NHRD, CI, FICI, you name it. And you got Mr. Ravi who talks about AI, and I think he started from the 0 level of the AI to where it is today, like that. No? And of course, Harshita is well known for the employee experience and building inclusive high-performance teams, I think. So my question to you is just, please share some thoughts on, on one hand, we talk about reverse mentoring. We go to colleges, schools, and we meet young people and said, we'll do reverse mentoring. Can we talk about concept like mutual mentoring, where the young people also learn from the seniors and the seniors learn from the young people? The digital natives, maybe they'll talk about, they're very SOT or state-of-the-art knowledge and all that. And the senior people talk about architectural, something like that, all this thing, the intuition and all that. So 3 things I want to ask. Please tell me something. One is about mutual mentoring. And second thing is about retirement planning for senior people who are about to phase out in, say, pharma companies where knowledge is very, very important. So can we talk about retirement planning like you are talking succession planning, sir? Or can we talk about, returning back to the institution as an internal consultant or something like that, because they have the institutional knowledge and they have the subject knowledge. 2 things. Thank you.
I'll take the first one if that's okay. About mentoring, Vijay, it's always mutual, right? If we go back to our Gurukul system, it just comes from there. The student observed the Guru for a long time and learnt. The Guru was not actively sort of imparting any knowledge, but just by observation they learnt a lot. So here also, when the reverse mentoring happens, the seniors, of course, get a lot of perspectives from the relatively less experienced folks. But the less experienced folks also keep learning all the time, even though it may not be stated in so many words. For example, when the MD takes one of the colleagues who is less in experience with him as an executive assistant or makes him sit as a shadow board, what's actually happening is they're observing a lot of things happening in the board meeting, and they learn from that, right? So whether it's a stated agenda of a mutual mentorship or not, I think all the time both of them are learning from each other, right? Now, if you want to make it more explicit, that's great. Saying that I'm learning this from you and you're learning, all these things from me. Yeah, it's okay. But I think certain things you should allow the flow to happen for that learning to happen. Because you can't teach every little thing to everyone. People have to learn through a lot of observation as well, the nuances. Because if you start explaining every of your action, I think the learning is lost and the aggrandizement of the individual happens over there. Let the learner ask, whoever is getting mentored, whether it's senior, junior, let them ask the questions. Okay, why did you do it like this? What was the objective of speaking like this? That's when the learning is embedded beautifully well, rather than creating a structure around it. That's what I mean. So I thought I'll take the first question.
So maybe just adding to this point, after AI has come into ChatGPT has come into the picture, there was a kind of experiment which is being conducted. So they have grouped all the youngsters in one room, asked them to learn whatever the latest version which has come in. There are all the seniors, 40 plus, they have grouped them together. And then third group is that it's a mixture of both. So in the experiment, what came out, the results is the third group, which is a mixture, they learned much faster than both the groups individual. Now, why it has happened? Now, this is just because of the mutual mentoring. Probably the provoking questions by the juniors, and then even from the other side, they experience and how they can design it is also very important. Now, but what it is requires. So probably the people who have got a little experience, they have some reservation to open up to ask the juniors to learn. Now that's what I think Dr. Uma was specifically mentioning. If they have willingness to learn and if they open up to ask questions, the things becomes very fast and the mutual mentoring will work out very much better than anything else.
Right.
And the second question, I don't think...
I think
you can answer
take the liberty to answer it, and I'll close it now. In Indian knowledge system, and since I'm working in Purnakala, so I've been working and doing a lot of research in NAP, National Credit Framework, and Indian knowledge system. So what we know is in Gurukul system, we had Paravidya and Aparavidya. Now, Aparavidya is the materialistic world, the skills, competency that we build in. But Paravidya is your inner self, your wisdom, how to use that skill at your workplace or anywhere in your life in general, right? Now, how do you acquire that? So that is only through inquiry and asking questions and following something called neti, neither this nor that, right? This happens in the environment when there is tarka vitarka. So both the sides are having question and an answer. But remember, we don't have Kutarka. We should actually shoo away from Kutarka over there. So that's very important. Okay. Yeah. So only that asking question, the freedom to ask question, and the question can come from anyone. So in Upanishad, we never give you clear answer. We ask questions in answer to a question. If I ask you what is this, you will never tell me what is this. You will tell what do you think what it is, right? And that leads to the next question. So I'll leave it here. Thank you. It was wonderful. Thank you, my panelists. Thank you, audience, for being so patient. See you. Thank you, ASSOCHAM. Yeah.
Great job. Thank you. I guess we need to come.
Yeah. Please.
Thank you now and your team. Thanks for the session. Now we go with the session 5, the most interesting session of the day, understanding the 4 labor codes. The implication for the employer, workforce strategy and the compliances readiness. The session will be moderated by the most senior person, Mr. S.V. Ramchandra Rao, Managing Director, Resource Inputs Limited. The esteemed panelists would be Mr. C. Niranjan Rao, the advocate of Niranjan Rao Associates, Ms. Indrani Nath, Program at CHRMP, and Mr. Veera Chappi, Head HR Talent, Foxconn Interconnect Technologies Limited. So I request the moderator and the esteemed panelists to come onto the stage and we'll start ahead. Thank you.
Madam, you are here.
Very good evening to all of you. I think, very good evening to all of you, right? I think the session should have been started at 4:15 and to have ended at 5:15. I think I am left with limited time now, right? Well, anyway, limited participants also, therefore there is no issue. Am I right? I think I will give you a little background. All of us are talking about courts, right? I think unlike other legislations, the evolution of labor laws are totally different. In India, there was a first, in the year 1929, the first National Labor Commission was constituted based on the report the legislations have come up. Subsequently, there are many ILO conventions. Based on the conventions, many legislations have come up. After these two things, after 72 years later, second National Commission was submitted its report. The objectives of the commission was to suggest rationalization to the existing laws relating to organized workers. Second objective was to suggest an umbrella legislation for unorganized workers for the social security. Justice Verma and his team toured all over India, including Hyderabad. In the year 2001, they interacted with workers, unions and managements I was also one of the persons represented on behalf of the employers. The report came in 2002. Now, these legislations should have come in accordance with the National Commission of Labour submitted by the Justice Verma. But nothing has happened in the courts. They have picked up certain things, they have distorted certain things. I will give you an example. Justice Verma suggested the legislation should be employer friendly and employee friendly. Therefore, whenever you are retrenching anybody, give a compensation of 45 days for every year of completed service. In some cases 60 days he has suggested. That is not there. Similarly, standing orders, the report has suggested, reduce it from 100 to 20. This protection is required to everybody. Now that 100 became 300 now for applicability of standing orders. Therefore, what happened in the process is, in the meantime, is it 2002 and 2026, we caught up with the concept of ease of doing business. Right? Combination of these two has given birth to these 4 labor codes. More and more we look at these codes, 80% of the old laws, the sections remained as it is. But they have created excellent definitions to give work to HR, to management, and also to the advocates and judiciary. And a settled law for 75 years, through the process of lot of Supreme Court judgments, lot got unsettled. Now we are now going back to relearn in the organization context. I think with these few words about these codes, I would not say whether it is employer friendly or worker friendly. I am not getting into that issue. But the labor laws evaluation is something totally different when compared to other legislations. I hope Mr. Niranjan will agree with this, right? Well, with these few words, I think we will go ahead with some of the burning issues in the minds of some of the people. Law is such that there are some people who would like to become compliant, some people would like to ignore. Let law be there, I do my job. Now I think I have with me Indrani, I think Mr. Niranjan, and Mr. Veera. I think I could not meet him earlier to this, only on the day I met him. Well, I think we 4 of us will try to spend some 25-30 minutes in trying to look at some of the issues. I think we have no gender bias. Therefore, I would like to first start with Madam Indrani, right? And I would, Madam, can you tell us one of the most important definition which is getting circulated is on the wage. What is included, what is excluded, how it impacts and how it is understood. I request you to kindly dwell upon that and let us know from your point of view how it affects the organization.
Certainly, sir. Thank you. So, one of the significant changes that we see when it comes to the labor codes is that it has brought in something what we call as the standardization of the definition of the concept of wage. Before the codes came in, there were different acts, different legislations which spoke about the same concept. Right? Whether we talk of the Payment of Wages Act, Minimum Wages Act, whether we talk of the Payment of Bonus Act, in fact, EPF, Gratuity Act, wage was defined differently across these different laws. So what did it mean for the organizations? It meant multiple compliances. Payroll systems had to work on the same concept again and again, even if one part of the compliance was followed, still because of the understanding or the misunderstanding of the concept of wage, another compliance kind of was left unmet. Now what the courts have done is that they have given a uniform definition of how wages has to be interpreted by organizations, establishments and employers. Now as per the code, and this definition is consistent across all the 4 codes, whether we talk of the code on wages, whether we talk of the industrial relations code, whether we talk of the social security code or the OSH code, right? Wages have been defined. If I break down the definition in very simple terms, I would look at it from 3 different perspectives. One, what does it include? Wages would always include, as per the code, 3 elements: basic, dearness allowance, retaining allowance, if there is any. There's no other ambiguity to what wages would be. Now, what would be excluded? So the courts have also kind of listed 11 exclusions, including HRA, conveyance allowance, even the PF contributions that are there. And the third element is, to what extent can a wage be given in kind? So up to 15% of the wage can be given in kind. Beyond that, it would not be considered as wage. So this is the understanding that we get when we look at the concept of wage. Now, how has it impacted organizations? Again, there is a divided view. If we look at how basic was calculated, even before wages came in, we always had the industry rule of 40 to 50% of basic. Now, organizations which have complied with it, there is, it's not about the compliance, but it is more about formalization of what they were doing. And that also gives the employees the safeguard that, okay, now this is standardized, there's not going to be any change. Now, what happens when we talk of the inclusions and exclusion? If the exclusion, they exceed 50%, the additional amount is counted back as wages. So the law is very clear, it talks about the exclusion. So that gives organizations the liberty to design their compensation structure accordingly. So this shift means that organizations cannot look at compensation as a mere payroll exercise. It has to evolve into a compensation strategy that is benefiting both the organization as well as motivating for the employees. It means changes in the employment contract. It means changes in the HR policies. So that is how we are looking at wages, sir. Thank you, sir.
I would like to add something more on this. The draft rules have already been published, and the time period given is also closed, right? Now the draft rules have made an explanation with reference to the wage definition. Any bonus paid annually, based on the performance of the organization or based on the performance of the individual, is an exclusion for the purpose of gratuity calculation. Similarly, they have also listed another 4 items. If a crush allowance is paid, because the Social Security Code rules have suggested 500 rupees as an allowance, or the ESOPs, the food coupons, and medical reimbursement also have been taken outside the purview for the purpose of calculation of the gratuity. I think with this the wage definition goes in. May I now request Niranjan to tell us something about in the wage code with reference to the bonus, how it has been dealt with.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is no major amendment regarding to the Payment of Bonus Act. Only the impact, as rightly mentioned by Madam, the wage component has been redefined. So there is possibility of paying the bonus will be slightly higher. So 50% of your gross wage is now going to be basic and DA. So there may be impact on your bonus payout also. Similarly, the Government of India is now coming out with a national floor wage. So all the state government has to fix the minimum wage, not less than the national floor wage, fixed by the government of India. So if the minimum wages has to go up, there is a clause under the Payment of Bonus Act, which is under the Code of Wages. So 7,000 rupees or minimum wages, whichever is higher. So that component may likely to increase because of this provision. Other issues relating to 21,000 cap, 8.33 minimum bonus, 20% maximum bonus, those things have not been changed. So only because of the change in the definition of wages, there may be a likely to be increase in your payment of bonus payout. That's it.
I think I would like to request Veena to tell us something about the floor wage, the minimum wage, and how it impacts the organizations.
Okay. Firstly, I am not the core expert in like you practicing.
No.
I'm just bringing out, I purely bring the industry perspective, what practically we are doing. I can quote very recent, action that what we have taken in Foxconn itself. Primarily, my experience is into IT and then into manufacturing, both engineering services and all that. The practical problem is with I'll just go little on the contract labor, the core activity, and then come to the minimum wages, what we're talking about. The moment the codes are released, there is a clarification that is given on a core activity. What qualifies for a core activity? The moment it is relayed, including us, all the industry is worried whether you have to convert all your contract labor into a fixed term or into a regular employment. That was one of the tricky situation that industry had to go through, and we all had to conduct a workshop to understand where it is actually lying. So the CLRA 1970, is it covered, or with the new OSH code, how is it defined, and all these. Then we less focused on minimum wages because, as sir has mentioned, the central slab is anyway given that we have to follow. It can be higher but not lower. So whatever government is releasing or the state government is prescribing, we are following it. There is no issue about it. But coming to the fixed time contracts, so we were in dilemma how to regularize the, because we have almost, I'll tell you, the size is 10,000 people, 10,000 sale contract workers with us. In a month, we have hired 5,400 people. Now, what we do? If you're going to convert everybody into full-time, it's a problem. Now, the gratuity applies, because for a fixed term purpose, you need to take gratuity into consideration. Now, we are in dilemma. Now, we have already arrived at saying that government has declared saying that not necessary. Especially in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, core activity is being clearly defined than any other states in India. You may reciprocate this one. So, fairness in the wage, what we are giving, and we are more focused on the welfare, what we can do from the welfare fund, labor welfare fund also has been very much clarified. So these are my bit, but I can talk on the other industry practices when it comes to what is the change that we are bringing at workplace. I would comment later part of that. Thank you.
I think I would like to add here, insofar as in the bonus is concerned, the 21,000 rupees, whichever is the limit for an employee definition, is silent in the code. That power has been given to the state government. Similarly, 7,000 rupees is also silent. That power to declare 7,000 or higher or lower has been given to the respective state governments. Therefore, the code is silent. The organizations having in different states, if different states define different threshold limits, there will be an issue to the organizations. Well, on coming on to the other issue, some organizations bifurcate minimum wages into basic and HRA or something like that. Now, HRA is in exclusion, therefore we will not be in a position to bifurcate. If we bifurcate, we are not complying with the minimum wages requirement. I think this will also impact a huge cost. I think Mr. Niranjan will dwell upon the fixed term and
Yes,
the gratuity and the complication of contract labor what you have raised.
Yes,
I think he is the best person to respond to that.
Yes, sir. So first let us see about fixed term employment. Even though it is coined recently and it is in the circulation in recent days, it was there in the Industrial Disputes Act itself. It is not new to the labor law. It was there. But in practice, many people are not calling it as a fixed term employment. Now, because it is popularly worded and it is widely spread across all the media, people are aware of the fixed term employment. Otherwise, under Section 200BB of the Industrial Disputes Act, still it exists. But now, in this code, now they have specifically given this kind of a provision to engage the employees on a fixed term contract basis, fixed term employment. So you can engage any employee on a fixed term, maybe 1 year, 6 months. There is no restriction on the period of the term. And there is no restriction of the salary component. Whoever you want, you can be engaged on a fixed term basis. But only thing is, he will be on the rolls of the company and he will be paid on par with the regular employees of the company. Only thing is, if you want to terminate that employee at the expiry of the contract period, you can simply send him off. No need of paying any retrenchment compensation or taking any notice pay. Those things will not arise in case of a fixed term employment. Apart from that, he is on par with the regular employee. Contract labor is the difference between the contract labor and the fixed term employment is the contract labor will be on the rolls of some other contractor or an outsourcing agency. And that contractor will pay the PF, ESI, wages, anything. Whereas in the fixed term employment, only the company will pay all the social security benefits. And further, the fixed term employment can be engaged for any number of times. There is no restriction. People are often asking how many times we can engage a person on fixed term employment. There is no restriction and no prohibition is mentioned under the code. So as long you want, give a break, engage him as a fresh fixed term employment. Thereby you can continue him as many times as you want. Sir?
Yes, sir. Right. Only one thing I would like to add. In the fixed term employment, the wage definition is again different. The wage is inclusive of HRA and conveyance.
Yes.
Right? It is not the same wage, allowances. If you see what happens, wage has to be same. Therefore, you need not pay allowances. But that is the reason why for fixed term, they have defined the wage separately again, which inclusive of HRA and conveyance.
Correct.
Right? I think that is the only
sir.
add on to what you have stated.
Yes, sir.
I think you are from IT and so far as your contract labor issue is concerned, we have a solution to that. Yeah. But that becomes too heavy for to discuss here.
So actually, let me put it very practically what the HR fraternity faces. When we get doubt, we lean on you. Because practically what happens is, whether this or that, I'm not sure.
No.
So my point is, we can be a custodian of a particular function and implementation of it.
I will suggest whoever is there in this kind of a problem, try to very critically understand the definition of contract labor and analyze, you will find a solution.
Thank you, sir. What we did as a workshop as soon as the labor code come in is we pulled in industry people. Also in the organization, we have compared what previous was, what is current, and what is scope for us. What it need to be first taken care. So first it stuck our mind is 50% of basic that need to be taken care. Then the bonus, you know how it is. So we did a market survey. I think, I'm speaking on behalf of it because when we are stuck, call a lawyer. Call a practitioner.
I'm not a lawyer, let me tell you.
I'm saying we do that often, probably people on the floor can reciprocate, but fairly we see to that our organization is compliant with
absolutely
the right of employee protection and the ease of doing business and growing it further. So that's where our focus was.
I would like to request you to reflect on the applicability of standing orders to IT sector, because You are there in IT and ITES.
Sir, IT and ITES sector mostly is categorized into shops and establishments, not into factories. So there's no much implications that standing orders we have applied. So far in a broader companies, like I would mention, like I've been with Broadcom, CA Technologies, G Consumer Industrial Appliances, you mentioned GCC as Quest Diagnostics. Nowhere that comes into place, but you know, the regular wages, how the structure of salaries and all, it is organized mostly, but non-IT I am seeing now that everything is structured, everything is complaint based. On the IT side is lesser standing orders.
I think...
Sir, there is a notification given by Telangana government, erstwhile Andhra Pradesh, saying that standing orders are applicable for IT and ITES also. So therefore, necessarily, even though you are not following, you are exempted for so many labor laws. So by default, all of you are maybe carrying under the wrong notion that standing orders are not applicable. But strictly speaking, standing orders are applicable. There is a notification also. So kindly now, because of the new labor code, better you rectify that and comply with that also, sir.
Thank you for clarifying. That is where I'm saying, in practice, it is different.
The new labor, now, you see, 300 or more workers. Yes. Who is a worker? Any individual contributor is a worker.
Right.
Right? Below him, if nobody is there and he is performing a duty, he is designated as worker. Excluding professionals, right. A doctor or a lawyer or a chartered accountant and those kinds of people. Right? Now, if you look at IT and ITES sector, large number of people fall under this category. That is the implication. And therefore, under this code, the standing orders will become applicable. Ma'am, I think on gratuity, would you like to throw some light on
Certainly, sir, certainly. I think there's a lot of confusion about the applicability of gratuity. So, two questions, recurring questions, that is, the 5-year rule no longer applies, or probably I get my gratuity after a year. So, let's understand what exactly is happening. So, if we look at the Payment of Gratuity Act of 1972, it very clearly says that this particular concept or the loyalty bonus that we talk about at the end of a particular term of service was provided only for the regular or the permanent employees. And in that period also, as sir rightly pointed out, that even when organizations were engaging fixed term employees or people who worked under a defined employment period, they were left out of this ambit. So now the codes are looking at the work per se, the quantum of work, they have moved beyond the roles. And that is why if we look at the gratuity right now, there is a slight change in the definition as well. I mean the formula as well, 15/26 into, instead of last drawn salary, now it has become last drawn wages into number of years of service. So salary has been replaced by wages. Now this particular concept of gratuity or the fixed term employee or person who is under fixed term employment, they also become eligible for getting gratuity if they are in 1 year of continuous service. This was something that was not allowed or permitted. Now this means that we are talking about statutory parity. It's a win-win for both. Let's say in a modern workspace where you have project-based assignments, organizations can always have the flexibility of choosing whether to have a full-time employee or to work around a contract where you have fixed-term employment. And also people who were working earlier under the fixed-term employment basis, they also will be now getting, the benefits that was otherwise not permitted to them. So that would be my take.
Well, I think I would like to add a little more on that.
Certainly.
The word used somewhere in the definition is proportionately. That means if a worker who is engaged, I am very clear, I use the word worker. Though it is a fixed term employment, it is only pertaining to the workers. Number one. Number two, the word used is proportionately. That means if a worker on a fixed term employment is there for a 1 year, 4 months, the gratuity calculation, you cannot ignore that 4 months gratuity. You have to calculate it for 1 year, 4 months. Below 6 months to ignore, above 6 months, 1 year, that concept will not be applicable to fixed term employees who are workers. Right? Now, I think, ma'am, I think you should also let us know what is the impact on women, their working hours and creche and those kinds of things in the codes, kindly.
Certainly, sir. So if we look at the codes, they have brought in two elements. One is they are providing women with economic flexibility as well as giving them the safety environment where they are able to come forward and work. So the codes, the 4 codes have come up with certain innovations. I would not say innovations rather, but then try to make things easier, simpler for women. If we talk of the code on wages, it talks about non-discrimination. That means men and women, if they are doing work of similar nature, their wages, their working conditions, it cannot be discriminated against. Right? They have to be paid equally. That's one element. Second, if we look at women representation, whether we talk of in the central or the state advisory board that talks about or fixes the minimum wages, women will have at least 1/3 representation there. So it is also giving women a voice in decision making. Now moving ahead, if I talk about the Social Security Code, there under the Maternity Benefit Act, the act before had certain elements, but I think the code is more or less making it more formalized, something which organizations cannot ignore or dismiss. Like having a creche facility when your organization strength is 50 or more employees. They are focusing on the term employees, not women employees. Right? The creche can either be a shared facility or has to be situated within a prescribed distance as given by the state governments. Nursing breaks have to be given. Women can avail 26 weeks of maternity leave, and in case of 2 surviving children, 12 weeks in case of the third child, and in case of adoptive or commissioning mother. So the concept of motherhood has been incorporated, the changing dimensions. Then we also have, under the Industrial Relations Code, we have the formation of the Grievance Redressal Committee, which also insists that women representation should be proportionate to the representation in the establishment. That is also there. And finally, we talk about the OSH. This code particularly empowers women to work in the graveyard shifts before 6 a.m. and after 7 p.m., which was otherwise not allowed earlier. Along with that, this code even permits women to work across sectors. So, including hazardous sectors, provided that the employer is able to provide all the protective and supportive ecosystem. So, these codes, they have shifted the concept from protection from work to protection of women at work. Right? So, this is how the codes have evolved, and they are helping women. And this is very, I would say, important for us to understand, because if we look at the data, the periodic labor force survey of 2017-18, the women participation was 22%. And if we look at the data now in 2023-24, it has risen to 40%. During the same time, women employment in the rural areas have moved to 96%, which is very welcoming. And such moves or such initiatives as listed in the code will definitely be helping us move towards that Viksit Bharat, where we are looking at 70% women participation in the labor force. So that would be my take. Thank you.
I think I just would like to add, the creche can be a common creche within 1 kilometer of the establishment. If the establishment is situated in a industrial estate, that 1 kilometer restriction is not applicable. Further, if no creche is available and employer is unable to establish, he can also offer allowance to the employee up to 2 children at the rate of 500 rupees per month. I think this is what has been mentioned in the draft rules. Well, I
Sir,
think...
actually, I wanted to add very practically, we are implementing that. So far, in Telangana, this is the largest EMS factory in Kongarkalan, about 200 acres. We did not had one. So after the new codes come in, we have been implementing it. We explored 1 kilometer range.
Right.
Now we are thinking about providing allowance.
Yeah.
The night shift that what you're talking about now, the graveyard shift, with their consent.
Yes, absolutely,
With their consent. So with their consent, we are, on the overtime also we are taking consent, we are implementing. So what I can tell you is these reforms have come as a very active in the industry. Earlier, ignorant about these, but now we don't have choice. We are implementing to the dot and we are brainstorming and we are providing, actually, we provide AC buses up to 80 kilometers. Employees travel from 80 kilometers, 1 hour 20 minutes they travel. And we are providing, just one for statistics, 85% of our employees are female.
Right.
And they travel 1 hour 20 minutes, about 50% of them. All of them mostly are first time employment.
Yes.
That's even the 2 generation, they have not come to Hyderabad, but in and around we are employing those.
Yes.
So that's a change what we are bringing in it.
Absolutely. And I would just, if you allow me, sir, add in 2 things. Like when you talk about ignorance, I completely accept that there's a lot of ignorance, ambiguity about what the law says, because you have the letter of the law and then you have the spirit of the law. What does it say and what is the purpose for which it is there? And that's the reason why when the labor codes came in, we were, I think, one of the very few certification bodies which came up with an Indian Labor Code certification that is followed by CNB payroll planning. So people, the participants, they understand the nitty-gritty of the law, and then when they have to come up or do the compensation structuring, how do they go about incorporating that? So this is one way of how we are trying to address this element of ignorance.
Great to know about it. Niranjan sir, can you tell us something about on grievance redressal committee, what madam has raised about?
So all of you, where 20 or more workplace employees are engaged, is required to form a grievance redressal committee in all your offices, establishments, companies, or factories. So 20 employees means all of you are covered. So a maximum number of employees should be 10. Equal representation from employees and employer. And the chairperson will be rotated on a yearly basis. So every individual employee, whatever grievance he had, he has to first approach this grievance redressal committee. Within 1 year from the date of his cause of action, whatever grievance he had, within 1 year from the date, he has to approach the grievance redressal committee, and that committee has to decide within 30 days. Whatever the complaint they received, they have to dispose that complaint within 30 days. If that aggrieved employee is not happy with the decision, he can approach the conciliation officer within 45 days. All timelines are stipulated for the first time. Earlier, there is no this kind of limitations. Timelines are not fixed. Employees are making some kind of a dispute through their unions earlier. Now that discretion is also given directly to the employee without going to the union. He can directly approach to the grievance redressal committee and he can raise a dispute. So before going to the labor commissioner office, that is a conciliation officer, or before going to the court, the employees are necessarily to exhaust this remedy of approaching the grievance redressal committee, and if they are not happy, they can approach to the conciliation officer and then to the industrial tribunal. That is now the procedure is formulated under this code.
Effectively, an individual dispute will also reach up to the level of a tribunal. The impact is, earlier, it was only an industrial dispute used to go to the industrial tribunal or to the labor court. Under this new code, an individual dispute also can lead to the labor court, right?
Sir, if I may just add on, because this is a question that I am being asked again and again. Even if we have a grievance redressal committee, the internal committee under POSH Act still continues. There is no dilution in there.
Yes. No, absolutely.
Because-
Both are two
yeah.
different.
Because many a times they think that since it is a grievance
Absolutely
liberation,
no.
so it is still there. Yeah.
Not still there. That is more powerful than this.
Yes,
Let me tell you.
absolutely. And that's why to implement
If I look at you also, there could be a problem.
no, that's why to implement
You
the
see,
codes.
if I really go through that list, if I directly look at you, you can lodge a complaint against me. True?
Right side, it's all about the impact.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right? Now, I think there's a major change, ease of doing business, what they have been talking about, is with reference to the punishments and the way in which how it looks at it. I think, I request, Mr. Niranjan is an expert in these matters. I request Mr. Niranjan Rao garu to explain what is earlier punishments and now how it has been liberalized kind of a thing.
And strictly speaking, sir, there is no much change in the punishment angle. If any employee is found guilty of any misconduct, the punishment is...
I am not talking about employee, I am talking about employer.
Employer, okay, right.
Right.
So the decriminalization is one the important factor, and this compounding of offences. Whenever you are alleged of offence, not paying the ESI contribution within the time, not submitting the returns within the time, not displaying the abstracts of the acts before your factory gate, not displaying the inspector's name, all those things, the employers are liable for prosecution earlier, and they have to appear before the magistrate court. So that provision now has been liberalized, and the option is given to the employer to pay penalty and then get it closed without appearing before the court. That is one big solace to the managing directors, occupiers particularly, under the Factories Act. The directors should be the occupiers, and they have to necessarily to appear, even for a small violation under the Factories Act. So those kind of things is now given slightly liberalized. Therefore, there is no much threat for the employers and the managing directors to appear before the courts. They can pay the compounding fee and come out of the offence.
To add to that, earlier at many places imprisonment used to be there. That imprisonment has been brought down only at 2 places, where you deduct the amount from an employee and not remitted. Right? The other area is accidents, health and I think in other places, imprisonment has been, to a very large extent, has been removed. Right? But the penalties have been substantially increased. Say, for example, you are required to get the standing order certified. Earlier, if you have not done, the penalty was 500 rupees. Today it is 2 lakhs rupees. That is the difference. Right? I think we will leave the floor open. If anything that you would like to understand from any one of these panels or from me, you are welcome to raise the issues.
Uma ma'am.
Sir, question is, liberalization of all this is really good because, otherwise it seems very, very rigid. The fear, of course, is that will it compromise the interest of the workmen and employees?
Absolutely no. If you read the OHS code, it is the employer's duties itself have been listed. And the more focus has been given on the health safety. And now earlier you have only director of factories to come and inspect you. Today you have 10 authorities to come and inspect you, in addition to the labor department, in addition to the inspector of factories. Now, the chief inspector of factories has been empowered. If he, after coming for an inspection, he finds an hazardous situation, he can order stoppage of the factory. And workers should be paid wages. I think that is what the code says. Therefore, let me tell you, the entire OHS code focus is on safety. It is very strongly built. And most funniest thing, in the preceding 5 years, what are all the accidents that have taken place in your factory, you have to display it on the notice board. Right? Therefore, employees' interest has been protected very strongly insofar as wages and in safety and health.
Thank you.
I would like to just bring what we are practicing right now on the same point. For people, earlier the medical checkup was only for hazardous environment. Now, for people who are 40 and above, you need to make it.
Yes,
and for a voluminous organization like us, we have to now implement it and bring it. So, my point is like ease of, less of government, more of governance. And it's actually, if you see last 10-15 years, the gig economy is running across. Those in these labor codes, those are taken care very much. If you observe this, I think every law and act will have pros and cons, but this is more in the organized sector form. Global competitiveness is a much key word, because we've been looking at other manufacturing site in the site in Taiwan. We've recently gone there, so organized. Our laws are colonial age, which have not been, like if you see the BNS, Bharat Nyaya Samhita, I think in line of it, we are giving a touch of Indian culture, going away with the colonialism state laws, practical implementation where people come and invest, because we are targeting to be a fourth largest economy. So these are all contributing to how we can attract a company, protect the rights of employees, but still operate at your freedom for the profits of the companies.
So yes. I will just add for your just how what the BNS and other things have done, what labor laws have done. Sir, after you people have come into the field, there is a moonlighting, there is employee bond breaking, joining with competitors, leaving the job abruptly. All these things are the major issues which you are facing, IT and IS. There is no reference in the new labor codes. How? That is the order of the day. The law, which is now made in 2025, has to protect these kind of issues. There is no reference in the old labor laws or in the IPC or in the Evidence Act, wherever, how to stop this moonlighting. These are all new concepts which was developed after the IT sector has come in. But there is no protection for you in those areas.
Yes.
Absolutely useless amendments.
Absolutely, I fully agree with him. Number one, no. You see,
because I have seen the other side of the story, I really feel working in the manufacturing area is adding real value. We, on the side of a HR from a IT sector, sorry if someone is there, we don't literally learn anything. You start learning when you shift towards the right side and see what actually the worker goes with the pain, what employer takes a pain to pay on time, how it is taken care. I totally agree with you, sir. Earlier, and there is no voice for an IT worker in the law.
You see, let me share with you. The impact of these codes will hit MSME in India, which is the backbone. Why and how I will tell you. A canteen has to establish if you have 100 workmen.
Including
contract labor. No MSME in India today is having space even to keep their finished product or raw material. It is the truth.
Can I add one more thing? Very interesting thing. Almost about 4,000 people in one shift are having meal at our office. All 3 shifts we are running seamlessly and 2 meals, and we are trying to implement incoming snacks as well as outgoing snacks.
I am very clear. The impact is on MSME.
Yeah.
Which is the backbone of industry.
Understood, yes.
Right? That is where I am telling you.
I totally agree.
Right? Large organization,
anyway they can
I will
afford.
also share with you. If tomorrow, unfortunately, if you have a union,
Yes.
If you have 300 workers or more, you are required to give an office premises in your establishment itself to the union.
Yeah. Of course, yes.
That is what the law says. Today the court says.
So how it is beneficial for the IT and ITES?
Is it? No. You see, we have issues day in and day out. The employee, without returning the laptop, he switches off his phone and he is not available. Right? He is working from home in Ladakh. You just can't do anything. Right? The code has not covered that. We have in fact made a representation to the government. The employer should be permitted to deduct the amount as shown in the books of accounts to the extent depreciated amount from the full and final settlement of the employee. Today you are not empowered to do this, right? No, therefore, it looks the impact of these codes will be understood after 2 years or 3 years, and when the employer will realize that should I? I think any other questions are there?
Yeah, I have. So in 3 years, there will be far less people coming into manufacturing. That is another issue that the whole industry is grappling with. How will you get the talent in yes. And if you make it legislatively also very tight, it becomes even more difficult to manage.
I have a question, and thank you so much for the insightful session. So we have more kind of information out there, and we are overwhelmed with the new labor codes and all. So which guidelines we need to follow, and do we have any specified guidelines given by the government in any site or the portal, so that all the IT people or like us HRs can go there and refer them? Because we have vendors, many sessions are being conducted, many PPTs, much kind of information coming. So we wanted one benchmark or per se kind of information, so that it can lead to all our stakeholders and also within the organizations, so that we can take it forward.
Ma'am, lot of information, no. Lot of misinformation got circulated.
Yeah, correct.
Right?
That is true.
I will give you a small example. F&F should be done within 2 days.
Yeah, that is.
It is a myth.
Yeah.
This was an old provision in the Payment of Wages Act. It is a copy-paste of the computer. Right? It talks only about wages. It doesn't talk about F&F. And the gratuity continues to remain. Payment is required to be made within 30 days from the date it has fallen due. I think there is no change. What all circulated in the WhatsApp University and the other universities you have in the social media is only misinformation and not the right information.
So which one to follow, sir?
No, you have to study yourself, or you should have somebody to guide you to do that.
Wait for some more period, ma'am. Let the rules also be framed.
Yes.
Once the rules framed by state and central, then you will have total picture.
Little more.
And
yes.
I think as of now, the Labour Ministry has released a comprehensive employers compliance guidebook, which is there on their website.
That doesn't have anything.
I mean, since she's asking for some information, I thought sharing of information would be good enough. Yes.
So I have to put it very straight, is we are all in confusion trying to figure out, but don't get overwhelmed with information, but what is the issue that you are trying to address, be specific about it and do a research. Practitioners can help. We got help from, of course, the big fives consulting and all that, you do that. And on the lighter part, the big fives and other consulting organization taking advantage of training people on these one and making money. Okay, which is, in a way, it gives a refresher. But identify your problem. Like I told you, like the core activity. We were in confusion. Should we now stop all the vendors, manpower vendors, or how do we do it?
Sir, 1 minute, sir. For you, that core activity is there earlier also.
It is there.
In both in Andhra and Telangana.
No, the WhatsApp University has come up.
1 minute, I will tell you. Earlier you are violating the law, you will continue to violate the law. That's all. It is as simple as that.
No. Understood.
Let me also tell you, this core, non-core definition, unfortunately I am the party to draft that when the Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu was here. Right, myself and MSN Rao, the then Labour Commissioner, we both sat together in Viceroy Hotel and drafted.
I think one round of applause is needed because, that has come as a rescue for us when we are trying to actually figure out, erstwhile Andhra Pradesh only had drafted this particular rule, no other state. And this is a benchmark across the industry.
And that is copied by the entire India.
Somebody was
pan India. And we are happy to, ASSOCHAM to getting us here.
And a follow-up question on this, like what would be the implementation date? It would be like 21st
The implementation
of November.
date is 21st November 2025.
So we need to pay the arrears along with that. So,
I would not like to comment on that.
Okay.
It is a strategic, independent organizational decision.
Okay.
You see, there will be no rules for definitions.
In simple matter, it is your case, you deal it. No, at this point of time, because, you know, everyone...
You see, I will share with you. You see, if you look at it, the code has also prohibited even restructuring of a salary structure. Because section 124 says you cannot reduce the wages. Right? In the Social Security Code, it has been mentioned. Therefore, technically, we will not be in a position to reorganize the wage structure where his benefits are becoming less. Right? Now, anyway, you don't too much think about it, ma'am.
So another question, like, should the wages, as they said, like, 50% should be your wages as per the new wage code. Should it be 50% of the gross, which we call earnings, or
I will
CTC?
give you a simple formula.
CTC.
To all my clients, I
Which
give.
we usually follow in.
No, I will
IT
give you a simple
sectors.
formula. Your gross wage plus provident fund contribution of your employer provident fund contribution divided by 2 is the basic wage. The balance, you have only 2 components, HRA and conveyance allowance. No other name. Okay. There ends the matter, your salary structure.
Thank you.
So one question, there was an event happened in Vijayawada from the labor department.
I know.
They called few of the company representatives. Is there any such kind of program organized in Telangana? Because
Telangana, before implementing the code, the secretary came and then we had a program. We made lot of sessions that never seen the light of the day. Right?
No, in terms of Q&A also, they had a session with all the employers. So do we have any other session been organizing in Telangana from central
No, government is not organizing. Government is grappling itself in drafting the rules which they are unable to do it. Because the worker definition is inclusive of, employee definition is inclusive of worker. In some section, employee word has been used. In some section, worker word has been used. And it is so confusing for somebody to draft rules also is becoming very difficult for them. More particularly, when it comes to the OHS code, they are unable to find a solution to this. Because many other unrelated legislations are also there in that. Right? I think it is a much bigger subject. I think any other, I think, should we make it as a last question?
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir. So I'm Haripan. I work as a HR for Wellspun, GCC. The core is a manufacturing. Obviously, I work for IT and ITA. So the question with respect to the PF. So when it comes to the IT, a lot of things will go on basic plus DA up to 32 to 35 to increase the net take home and reduce the gross and the CTC other things. So with changing of the new labor code, so it will be increased to the 50%. Basic would be increased to the 50%. It will impact the PF if it's not capping 15,000. So whether it could be paid by employee or an employer. If an employee, the net take home would be reduced. If an employer, are they ready to bear? So how
it
it would
additional
be?
employers, additional cost only. Right? It is very clear. Right? Number one. Number two, I think I also should share, if you read the code, Social Security Code, PF contribution is 10%. But why you are paying 12% today? Because of the scheme. The code specifically mentioned the schemes of the Provident Fund and the schemes of the ESI, the rules and regulations in the ESI will continue to be in force for 1 year from the date of the act has been revoked. Right? Therefore, the same scheme is continuing. Therefore, after few years, the PF department can come and ask you why you have not paid on allowances also. get prepared, because scheme is still there. Number one. Number two, that 15,000 also will get enhanced very soon.
25,000 or so.
It will.
Something happens.
It will. It is likely to. And now today, the Provident Fund and ESI is linked together. AI tool has been introduced there, and it generates automatically a show cause notice, calculating the difference between the gross wages mentioned in ESI and gross wages mentioned in Provident Fund and non-payment of PF or ESI. The AI is calculating and sending notices. I think this is the level at which it is there, right? I think thank you very much. I think that my thanks to Mr. Niranjan and Indrani Madam and then Veera. I think it is pleasure meeting you, sir. And thanks to everyone. Though there are less participants, I am happy that it is a quality discussion.
Yes.
Thank you.
It was a master class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, you please come, sir. I think you should join.
Chetan,
yours. Please come, Chetan.
Okay. Is Nav here?
Very good session. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rao. Thank you, Rani. Please move. Thank you.
Yeah. Dear participants, to end on a high note, we wanted to go up with a small quiz with CHRMP. So, hope all would be interested, and we take another 10 to 15 minutes for the quiz. So, I request is the CHRMP team to take ahead with the quiz.
KPMG doesn't know.
Should I start? I need to start from here.
Could we just request everybody to move a little forward for the quiz? It'll just make it a little easier if you all can just relocate and just come forward. Thank you. Just a quick request. Thank you.
Present. Hi guys, good evening. So what you can do is open your phone, scan that QR code and put in that pin over there. That way you'll be able to log into the quiz. So one small request, do not use abbreviations, use your full names. And yeah, also the top, yeah. No, it's not.
Or they can join in the Kahoot.
Yeah, so what you can do is just do www.kahoot.in. Yeah, kahoot.it, sorry, not in. Yeah. Yeah, and please enter your full names, no short forms, no nicknames, no abbreviations. Also, the top 5 scorers of this quiz will be getting some prizes and goodies from Ripples. So yeah, just a small motivation.
As they log in, the names are coming up.
Yeah, IT. Yeah, www.kahott.it. IT. Yeah, IT.
So as you log in, you can see the names coming up on the screen. So we could see people who have logged in.
So once everyone has logged in, I'll start the quiz.
Any help? Anybody we could help you all? Could raise your hand.
I did. Yeah.
Is it about general knowledge or
No, it's technical HR skills. Yeah.
Just HR, combination of different HR domains. That's all.
So just make sure you answer correctly so you can be one of those winners to get goodies.
A few of them, yes.
So let me know once everyone has joined in, and then I'll start the quiz. Anyone who's still joining in?
Yeah, we'll give
Okay.
2 minutes.
Everyone joined in? Okay.
Just to cross-check, just see if your names are appearing on the this thing.
So before we start, just verify if your names are appearing in the screen or not.
Indrani? Give. On the phone he can do it. It's easier on the phone. I think Neeli done. Neeli done.
Should I start? I can start?
It's done?
Okay, so we have 19 people with us and I'll start the quiz. But just a small disclaimer, we have 15 questions and each question will have 15 seconds to answer. So use that time wisely and fill in your responses. So I'll be starting the test now. I'll just read out the question. In pay equity, a compa ratio of 1.1 means what? You have the options below. Yeah, so 6 people have gotten it correct, and the remaining have gotten it wrong. Yeah. So this is the scoreboard as of now. Shibin is at the top. What is prompt engineering primarily used for in Gen AI systems? So about 12 people have responded correctly and 8 incorrectly. So prompt engineering refers to the kind of instructions or prompts you give to AI tools. In people analytics, survival analysis is best used to predict what? So we have about 8 correct responses, and as the name suggests, survival analysis is nothing but something that we use to assess how long someone will survive in the organization in case of an event. Event is nothing but exit or attrition. Which cognitive bias lets one positive trait overshadow other gaps? So about 11 have gotten this correct. It's halo effect. The opposite of this is Horn's effect, wherein one negative trait sort of overshadows everything else.
We have a few excited faces for this one. That's the scoreboard. Oh, Shibun.
In the 70-20-10 L&D model, what does the 20 in learning represent? So about 6 have gotten it correct, and I think the answer was there on the screen. So 70% sort of happens through on-the-job learning, 20% through social learning, and the rest 10% is through formal methods such as certifications, trainings, and so on. Oh.
The scoreboard has changed.
A sunsetting policy in HR refers to what? So about 10 people have gotten this correct. It's basically any rule, policy, or benefit that sort of automatically expires on a specific date unless it is formally reviewed or extended. What is a bot in a digital workplace context? So we have 13 people who have responded correctly. So chatbot is nothing but any digital tool that will automate your repetitive tasks. AI tool. So I think Shibin is back. Why is pulse testing more accurate than a single annual engagement survey?
And this, the rest three will get just this. Okay.
So 7 people have gotten this correct. So the reason why pulse testing is more accurate is because engagement survey if done just once, that can sort of be influenced by some recent events. But when you do it sort of regularly and within intervals, that sort of represents not so skewed data. Best method to identify unspoken behaviors in competency mapping is? So about 10 people have gotten this correct. Critical incident technique or CIT is nothing but one method that helps you identify some unspoken competencies or skills that either drive success or failure. In BEI, which probe pushes candidates from theory to real past behaviors? So about 11 have gotten this correct. Any ideas on what STAR stands for?
Action response.
Result, yeah. So correct. Situation, task, action, and result. Oh, by the way, the first 2 winners will get a chocolate and the goodie. The remaining 3 will get only the goodie. In the CHRMP analytics approach, what comes immediately after refining data? So about 7 have gotten this correct. So this is one of our own internal models, and basically the hierarchy is this, that we choose a business problem or challenge, then we finalize the metric, then we identify the data sources that will help us fetch that metric, then we refine the data, then we run analysis and analytics, and then suggest action outcomes based on the analysis. Under new labor codes, supervisors above what wage are excluded from worker definition? So we have about 6 correct responses. It's 18,000. National Social Security Board will recommend schemes for which workers? So about 12 correct responses. So it will be helping unorganized gig and platform workers. Yeah, last two questions. Commute accidents count as work related if what condition exists under Social Security Code? So only two people have got this correct. Nexus of circumstance basically means connection of circumstance. So if the employee was traveling to work or from work to home or for some job related purpose, only then will it apply. So last question. In generative AI, what does hallucination refer to? Yes, so about 8 correct responses. So it's similar to how we hallucinate. We think it's real, but it's not. Similarly, the AI is very confident about it, but it's not accurate.
First is Shubin.
Yeah, so first is Shibin. Second is Uma Rao. Second is Uma Rao. So the third prize goes to Abhishek.
We'll make sure you get it because you were the fifth. We knew the scoreboard.
You can go to leaderboard.
Yeah. Sorry for the tech glitch. In a minute.
Vijay.
The fourth position goes to Vijay. And the fifth position goes to Hari Pavan. Thank you guys for being a lovely audience. Thank you.
అదే ఎవరెవరున్నా చెప్పి ఇన్నోండు thank you. An interesting quiz competition to hand with. As we conclude today the summit, it's clear that the conversations we have not only merely academic, they are the actionable. From policy frameworks to the AI-enabled workforce design, from the generational harmony to the labor codes, today's deliberation reflect a shared commitment to shaping India's workforce future. On behalf of ASSOCHAM, our partners, speakers, and the organizing team, thank you for your presence, participation, and the leadership. We look forward to continued collaborations as we collectively build a resilient, inclusive, and future-ready workforce. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe. And also, I request to thank our main organizing team behind the success of this conference. I request Anmesh Ji, Dr. Augustus, Chetan Raj, Augustus Ji, S.V. Ramchandra Rao garu, now Anish from CSR from CHR. Okay. And also I request Indrani from the CHRMP. Now. Come now. Unda na? Edi unda? Veronica. Veronica from Ripples.
You live close to the office? It's okay. Go. After I went and changed, you called me.
Okay. And Vishwanand also, please.
And you also, Dinesh?
Yeah, I'm there. Abhishek Ranjan ji also, please. Anyone I missed out? Sorry? Pratyush. Yeah, Pratyush. It's our own program. If I missed out anyone, I request to please join with me.